Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Fall of Illidion. I'd like to thank all of you for coming back this week. After last week, it's been a pretty eventful week for us. Last week, we started two new streams. On Wednesday, we started our new campaign. It was episode 1 of Ruins of the Old World, DM'd by my friend Gunfire2430, who plays Togric in Monday's session. So if you haven't checked out Ruins of the Old World, make sure you check it out. Link down below. We've got a reference to Gunfire's intro to that campaign, a nice about 3-minute VOD that you guys can watch if you're interested. And as always, if you miss any of our games, they're uploaded to YouTube the next day. That being said, we also started a new stream on Sunday, DM's Play, where me and Gunfire go through and we're going to play different D&D akin RPGs. We started off this week with Divinity 2 Original Sin. It was a lot of fun as we kind of go through and play that. So, but welcome everyone to episode 29 of The Fall of Illidion. Some of you guys might notice giveaway in the title. We are currently running a giveaway to celebrate our 300 followers on Twitter. Of the new upcoming book for by Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards of the Coast, Candlekeep Mysteries, which releases on the 16th of March. If you want to enter, our link to our Twitter is on the page. Feel free to go to there and follow the directions on our pinned post. We'll be announcing our winner live on stream on March 10th, so make sure that you come back so that way you know if you won. With that being said, we'll go ahead and get into it. So, last week on our session, we started off with our companions arriving at the city of Theric along the Emberflow. The party had spent a few days on a boat traveling northeast back to the city of Emberfall after their exploits and adventures in the city of Darender, saving Togric Hammerfist's father from would-be assassins. As the city approached, of course, the party was a bit divided and frustrated with each other, as there had been some strife. Alistair had played a bit too many pranks on the rest of the adventurers, so they decided that they were going to tie Alistair to the prow of the riverboat as it sailed downstream. The only issue with that, of course, being that Alistair, our catfolk warrior, is terrified of the water. So he was highly frustrated with the rest of his companions as they arrived in the city of Theric, just a few days south from Emberfall, their final destination. They had the night off to go through and enjoy the city as they quickly split up. Alistair headed off the boat and wandered throughout the city and the bazaar and market districts before making his way over to a carnival. With a few stops here and there, a stop at an inn, before he finally made his way to a carnival where he whiled away the night enjoying the sights and scenes of something like that he had never seen before. While the rest of our group attempted to go to an inn, they were quickly accosted by the guards, the Red Knights of Theric, who were looking for Togric. The last time he was here, there had been an assassination attempt on his life, and he fled in the middle of the night. Of course, he had his reasons, but the guard didn't know that, and the Baroness of the city wished to speak with him, his aunt. They went together and spoke a bit, and they talked out their differences and discussed what had happened, the attempt on Togric's life and his subsequent fleeing into the old dwarfen tunnels beneath the city, where he found a lost hold from the ancient Blesnak kingdom that lies beneath the stones of Theric. They discussed that a bit before eventually he was set free, as his aunt apologized to him for the trouble. As our party went about the rest of their night, some of our companions went back to the inn, the Drunken Helmsman, where they got quite a bit intoxicated. Togric and his companions, I believe Gerard was there as well. For a bit of fun, Togric slipped a bit into into both of their drinks as they saw each other as minotaurs, as him as a fairy. It was quite a fun interaction as they got drunk and wiled the night away. In the morning, when their ship was to depart, however, as they all gathered back together at the boat, Alistair did not join them, and instead weaved a tale to frighten the sailors of the craft of the different creatures that they had fought that he described as now following them: vampires and undead, demons, devils. Of course, the crew, extremely superstitious as all sailors are, was terrified at this, and the captain, in order to keep the morale for her boat intact, had no choice but to ask the party to depart the vessel. So we ended last with our group gathering together, procuring horses to ride and then drop off in the city of Emberfall, taking the Giants Road north as they venture forward. And with that, we'll get back to the group. I did also forget to say, and I see some of you guys have already found it out, we do have new sub emotes today. We're very excited about them. We also hit our subscriber goal for last month, so currently pending is our second tier 1 sub emote. Very excited about that. Make sure you check them out. If you're not a subscriber, it's a great chance to go and get these sub emotes. If not, though, you can also get them for channel points in the chat. That being said, let's bring everybody in and let's get going.
Sounds good.
Hell yeah, brother.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. So you have just mounted up on your horses. Of course, the tension in the air still simmering between you as Alistair had... You got refunded, but he had cost you an easy ride on the boat for a now rocky 4-day journey over the Giants Road back to Emberfall as you guys head out in the mid-morning crisp air. It's warm, it's still late summer, but you see clouds on the horizon begin to billowing in east from the inner sea.
Avoid getting wet on the boat. Now we get to get wet in the rain.
Different kind of wet.
Can't even take a joke, Alistair? Kind of annoying.
I can't tell when you're joking anymore. That's kind of annoying, don't you think?
I keep walking in silence.
I keep riding my horse. All happy now.
As you guys continue on traveling northward, over the course of the day, the clouds slowly begin to roll in. You know it never stays dry for long in the marches, as about mid-afternoon, the rain begins to fall, at first a trinkle before it quickly becomes a rousing storm with lightning cracking through the air and thunder rolling in the distance.
Kind of look around that we're on the long march right now. There's no way to take shelter, right?
Yeah, so the area that you're riding through, you do ride on the Giants Road, which is not as well of a maintained road as some of the northern roads in the marches. It's more of a hardly packed dirt path with deep ruts from the frequent wagons that travel beneath Ferric and Calmer's Ferry and Emberfall. As quickly, after maybe no more than 20 minutes, the path becomes a thick mud. The area is mostly open. You do see the cover of the Silver Downs off in the distance, but you know that they're deceptively close, as it might take you hours to get there.
So I just keep my hood over my head and keep my head pointed down.
Yeah, I mean, like, what time of day is it?
It's mid-afternoon, maybe around 3 o'clock.
Oh,
As all of you are beginning to become pummeled and drenched by the rain, Kilroy, even Bella's fur is becoming thick and oily.
Sucks. Kind of got to keep moving.
Oh, man.
Unless somebody else has an idea.
Nope, I got nothing.
All right. As you guys continue on getting drenched in the rain, as night begins to fall, you can barely tell as it's really just shades of gray at this point, as it goes from light gray to pitch black, as you guys manage to find just a bit of cover underneath a bit of foliage on the side of the road, making your camp, unable to strike a fire as you huddle underneath your makeshift shelter.
As I'm just kind
Speak good, Togric says. The next time you ever ask me to go on an adventure with that one, as he looks at Alistair, slap me in the face.
Would you do the same to me?
Just remember, didn't start it.
Sorry,
Didn't
that
start it as I just kind of turn and lay down to get some rest for the night. See thing.
All right. That's all right.
Torvin. I'm sorry, it was Torvin that said that, not Tagric, by the way. Turns to you guys. I don't care who started it, but you all need to grow up and end it. You guys have literally been fought through the hordes of the hells before, and you such childish shenanigans.
I'm sleeping.
Apparently he's
Yeah, I
sleeping,
just
so we did
kinda
not hear anything.
roll over at this point and go to sleep.
His Vythe kind of stands up, his undead face really appearing undead at this point, peeling down, the skin flaking off at this point. It's getting worse as you kind of look over and see out of the corner of your eye. Tagric stands up and goes, "Don't worry, I'll take first watch," as he climbs up into the tree and takes shelter beneath the branches. Cannot hear you, Gunfire.
Sorry about that. I was saying, it was Torvin who volunteered for first watch, not Togric. I'm sleeping real hard.
I'm sorry, it was Vythe that volunteered
Oh,
for first
Vythe.
watch.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, it was Vythe.
Thought
As
it
he
was the
kind of
name
looks
mixed
up, you
together.
see his peeling skin out of the corner of your eye. The flaking off and the peeling of his skin is getting worse as he stands up. I'll take first watch as he climbs up to the tree and takes shelter beneath the branches.
Okay, does Vythe then have to sleep?
You asked that in character?
No. He's pretty much undead now, isn't he?
I don't know.
Not exactly, but close enough. He doesn't need much rest.
Well, to be fair, that was just out of character because I had no idea.
See.
I don't answer out
Because-
of character questions.
Well, I'm just trying to get the lores. I'm trying to
Yeah,
figure it out.
Your character would not know.
Okay.
Your only experience or the only interaction you've had with Death Knights that weren't just evil, corrupted, demonic soldiers, knights of the hells, would be Tagric, who you've never seen exhibit any symptoms similar to what Vythe is. But you do know that Vythe is an infinitely senior member of their order over Tagric.
Okay.
And you do know his power level is much more significant. He's much more powerful.
All right.
it's
Cool.
over
Cool.
9,000.
Power levels are bullshit. Okay.
All right. As you cradle up to sleep, Kilroy, are you just going to sleep tonight?
Yeah, I didn't get to sleep on the boat. I'm tired.
As all of you slowly fade away, falling asleep, Gerard, as you begin to nod off into darkness, once again, as not happening last night, but it happened the previous few nights, shadows begin to overwhelm you, swirling around your face. Once again, you begin to feel as if you're drowning, smothered in water. As this time, the shadows turn blue. With a swirling motion, you begin to pull yourself out, hand over fist, as the shadows almost begin to congeal into rock. And as you burst through the light emanating from the top of the shadows, you take a big breath. And as you look around, you realize you are standing on the Cliff of Ages that hangs over Point Valiant.
It's different.
As you look out, the massive fort etched into the side of into the cliffside, hanging over the large ravine that commands the entrance to the capital of the Oathsworn within the free marches. You can hear the cry of the griffins, the famed griffin cavalry of the Oathsworn, the paladins flying overhead, as you see and hear the training of initiates down below.
I stay a moment and watch.
As you kind of
Something I need to see here.
sit there and look out, look down below at what was your home for a long time, and you might even consider still your home. You realize as you look down that you're a bit smaller. Your armor is not quite the same heavy plate that you're used to, but instead the thin chainmail and short, astute cloak of an initiate, a lay brother of the Oathsworn. You touch your face and realize your normally elegant beard is but stubble. Um, as you realize you're a bit younger, and then you remember this is a memory as you feel a familiar, thick hand on your shoulder. Beautiful, isn't it? Gregor says.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
You kind of sit there for a moment, enjoying the quiet peace of standing here with your long mentor before you turn around and look back at his face. And as you look back on it, there's a shock as you realize his skin is peeling, revealing muscle and jagged bone, the jawbone coming forward from his face, blood running down his neck as he just stares at you as you gaze into the spaces where his eyes should be, as you realize he's been blinded. You could have saved me, Gerard. Save me, Gerard. And as he reaches out and touches your face, you wake up. As all of you will wake up at about this time, the rain still pummeling down, the rolling thunder and the crack of lightning off in the distance, as all of you are awakened to the sound of Gerard once again. Long sweat running down his brow. He looks paler than he did even just the day before. As Vythe looks down upon all of you from the tree.
Detect magic.
Once again, the thin wisp of corruption is coming off of him. Interwoven again is the same familiar insignia, this arcane footprint, almost, if you will, that you just, it's once again, it just seems familiar, almost as if you've been encountered or been around this magical signature before. You know, every mage's arcane aura is just slightly different, most of them indistinct. But this one is just so unique. It's almost as if you would remember it, but you just can't as it filters away.
This one was different.
What
For the
happened?
first time the dream changed. It started as a memory. I was back at Point Valiant. Like it was. I was young again. When Gregor greeted me and we spoke. And as we sat there and waited for a while, he began to disintegrate. He said I could have saved him. He said I need to save him.
It sounds like one of two things to me. Either he is strong, his soul is strong enough to call you from wherever he's at, or a demon is using him to get to you.
Whatever it is, it sounds like it's getting worse. We need to move quickly. Pack up.
Blimey, this whole thing is fucking ridiculous, Torvin says. Dreams from the beyond. I thought I'd seen some hairy things.
I mean, if only someone could go with me. I have no way of knowing if that's possible.
Vythe kind of
As I
looks
look
down.
to kill Roy.
It's not impossible, Vythe says. I wouldn't know how to do it myself, but I've heard of such things. I've heard of such things practiced before. Dreamwalking is what they call it. It has been done, but I read about it in an old Ghiscari tome.
I know next to nothing about those mages or anything they might have practiced.
That's because you don't read.
Can I make an
Vythe says.
intelligence roll?
You may make a knowledge history check.
Ooh, okay. 30.
With a 30. So, well, you're not exactly familiar with the practice of dream walking. The Ghiscari not really being your focus of study. You have read a lot of Ghiscari books. What I mean by that is their studies outside of fighting the shadow. in their time before the Infernal Crusade, when they were more of an arcane or magical order instead of an order dedicated to eliminating darkness from Eridar, was not really your main field of study. But you have read a lot of Ghiscari tomes, and you do know them to have been really the last major and most knowledgeable arcane order of the Age of Antiquity when they fell shortly after, eliminated from Eridar, their numbers dwindling over time at the end of the Age of Shadows. Um, if anybody would know, it would be them. Um, but you've never, the closest you have ever come to finding one of their libraries of the time tomes from that period would be in Blacklight, which you were there.
Okay.
Need to move with a bit more urgency for a number of reasons. As I look at Gerard, Vythe, and begrudgingly Alistair. Never thought we'd need to get back so quickly. As I pack up my satchel and my bedroll. Come on, we should probably get moving quickly. Doubt we're gonna be able to do any dream walking out here.
Probably not. I'm ready.
As you throw up your cloaks, steeling yourself against the biting wind as you proceed, mounting up on your horses to ride further along the road. The day passes for the most part in a breeze, as the days grow into days as you ride farther north. Um, it continues to rain, and Gerard continues to dream each night, continuing to have the same dream of Gregor standing above the Point Valiant, in various states of decay, slowly decaying more and more as each dream progresses. Before finally you guys awake 3 days later, having rode not at breakneck speed but hard further up the Giants Road. You begin to see as you wind your way through the hills the towering, pristine walls of Emberfall, towering in the distance. It's marble towers providing an austere sight in an otherwise bleak landscape. Um, as you look out, though, you realize that the tent city that really comprises the sprawl that makes up the slums really that exist outside of the walls to the southeast has extended out at least 2.5 miles, as this is where the majority of the refugees from Illidion have begun to congeal surrounding the city. Um, as you look out about them, and they're in a sorry state, mostly in makeshift hovels, lean-tos, tents in various states of poverty. Their clothes beginning to rip, most of them dirty. As you look around, everybody give me a perception check.
23.
All right, I've got a 23 from Kilroy. We've got a 29 from Gerard, a 15 from Tagric, and a 22 from Alistair. Okay. So as you guys look about, if you got over a 25, you will notice that as you look around on these refugees, you don't see a weapon in sight. Not a single one. You see pitchforks and hoes and shovels and various farming tools, or well, maybe the hammer of a blacksmith, but you don't see a blade. You don't see an axe. You don't see a bow. Not a single one of these refugees is wielding a weapon, and all of you with your scores will notice that easily normally the sprawl is rarely if ever patrolled, but just riding through the muck and the mud approaching the city as the road takes you through the sprawl, eventually appearing at the southern gate. um, the guard presence here is at least tripled, as just when you enter you pass a, a scouting patrol of 5 guards, and 10 minutes later another one of 3, as you all can feel the tension in the air.
Something major must have happened while we were gone.
Things go from bad to worse. As we look
I
around at the
didn't.
slums.
I didn't think it could get much worse than when we left it.
As you look around at the slums, Togric, roll me an insight check.
All right. You said insight, right?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Ah,
26.
26, very good roll. So as you're examining out at the mudded and unwashed masses, the refugees that are surrounding you, they eye you with a steely glance as they look down at some of your fine armor and weapons. All of you well put together, and as you realize that the group is slowly people are beginning to gather at the edge of the worn road. As the guard, you realize the three that just passed you turn around and begin to follow, maybe 15 feet back, as their hands are on their weapons as they look out at the crowd.
So crowd's kind of coming up to us here since we have some nice things on display. Is that right?
Yes, it's easily the numbers right now are only around 30 or 40, but easily you see hundreds more beginning to gather around the road.
Okay. So I'll kind of shift my eye patch off of my bad sight and kind of glare at the approaching group of people, kind of warning them off.
The one in front seeming to lead them almost, as all of them stand behind her, is a young girl, maybe 22, 23, early 20s, clearly a very beautiful woman, but quite dirty. Her once fine clothes torn, as her brown hair is pulled back into a bun, as she kind of puts her hand on her hip and just looks out at you.
Piss off as I go to roll an intimidation check here. Weak.
Okay.
Really,
I'm
really
gonna have Bella roar when he says "piss off."
Hey, can I get that advantage?
I will give you advantage
Thank
for
you.
that. That is fine. For those of you guys new in the chat, thank you for joining. We're running in Fall of Illidion on our homebrew system and world. What you got?
26.
26. That the inspiration was key. So as you kind of back off, as Bella roars, she takes a step back and just kind of looks at you. I'm sure you're just like all the rest. Spare a bit of food. Must be nice to live within the city's walls. At least they
Explain to
feed you
somebody
in
who
there.
gives a shit as I throw her a ration.
Oh, Togric, hold on to that as I hold my hand up and I create
Don't
food
do
enough
that. As I
food.
grab your fingers.
Um.
You
So
grab my
okay. So let's see. Give me a reflex save,
Alright.
Togric, first.
Please don't do that here. We're gonna get mauled. Alright, reflex save. I'm real bad at this. This is not good. Not ideal. 17.
All right. You give me. We'll do two competing reflex saves. Give me a reflex save as well.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
I don't have very much.
Oh
so
wait,
it's
at least you're
Oh,
not
maybe.
Alistair. We should be okay.
maybe. Oof.
All right.
All right.
As
So,
he gets the spell off, describe your magic, man.
I hold my finger up and I'm gonna do this above the crowd. So there's a mist that starts to congeal above the crowd and it drops enough food for we're level 7 people for 10 days.
70 people for one day.
Yep.
Yeah, vertible
And it's
feast.
raining on them. It's bread. Just raining bread on them so they're distracted from us.
All right. As you begins to rain bread, they go, bread, bread. Oh my, bread, grab it. As people begin to surround you immediately, as hundreds, easily 500-600 people just in the immediate vicinity begin to run towards the road, pushing and shoving each other out of the way to grab the scraps of bread falling from the skies. Quickly, it devolves into a brawl as the guards kind of steel themselves, almost quaking, as they charge forward. Back! Back! Stop the violence! Stop! As you
Boys.
quickly, as
Run,
you look
boys.
down,
Yeah, I'm gonna
you
let
guys
you know.
begin to run
We have
as
horses. These should have never happened. We could have just ran.
As you guys run through, the girl that you saw earlier climbs up and pulls down one of the guards into the mass as you see people just begin pulling him apart, physically ripping his arm off as they just begin to pull him into shreds, searching his body and even at this point maybe himself for food. As she looks down at you as you guys go to run, you don't belong out here anymore. My name's Ashley, and this is our area. Come back with food or don't come back at all.
How stupid can you be, Kilroy? Professor Emeritus, you don't think a sudden burgeoning of food is going to get us mauled?
You
To be
guys
fair,
realize,
I
though, as
don't
you guys
know.
are riding, you
Listen.
guys are not yet out of the woods. As the group has become to turn around you, as they begin to chant, bread, 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 as hundreds of people are beginning to just run towards you. As you see the guard up on the wall, as you look off maybe a quarter mile off, begins to fire arrows into the crowd.
Bro, we have
I
horses. Why are we just not?
I thought I was doing something good, and as we're continuing to go, I'm casting grease line by line behind us.
Okay, so how let's do this. Let's everybody give me a reflex save.
Wait, we're running ahead of it, so like I'm casting it behind us.
Okay.
Kind of like the old oh, what's it called? James Bond cars. Are
Yeah.
you James Bond carring us
Yep.
right now?
Yep.
Alright.
Well, I got a 20, not net.
29 net. Okay. All right, as all of you begin to ride forward, just barely staying ahead of the crowd as they surge towards you, as arrows point in as you look back and the last guard's pulled off of his horse as you guys make it within 100 yards of the wall as everybody just kind of stops as you look out and you realize it had been hidden almost by the crowd as the tents and the hovels and the lean-tos that had once been built all the way up to the wall and going up the side of the wall have been burnt out. There's just nothing but a smoking ruin next to the wall as they stop on the edge of the no longer simmering embers, but the destruction as you guys ride through the city gates as they shut behind you.
Jesus, what happened to this town?
I spit. It was nearly like this when we left.
As guards quickly walk up to you, are you guys okay?
We're fine. As I kind
Your
of...
guards aren't.
You lost a few men.
God damn it. We've got to get more out there. We just need to get some food in this in this blight forsaken town. The people are on edge and tensions have been high ever since the Duke went out there.
Something happened? Rare he
Ah.
leaves the castle.
Not that Duke. Duke Garrett from Illidion. He went out there with his family and some of his advisors. They went out there to take their place amongst the people. So much of the food was destroyed when the damned devils and demons invaded. They went out there to try to calm them down, but there was, I don't know. I heard there was some kind of distraction. The high priestess of Illidion was pulled into the crowd. She hasn't been seen in days, and his eldest son was missing. It's only by happenstance, and the captain of his guard, Elijah, was able to get them out. They barely made it to the city walls.
Glad to see nothing's changed since we left. Kind of sarcastic here. Other than that mess, as I gesture beyond the wall, anything else we need to know about?
Yes, as he kind of looks down at your weapons. You'll be wanting to see the administrator before you make it too far into the city, and either hand over your weapons or get a deed. You gotta pay the sword tax.
Of course we do. As I just shake my head. Where can we find the administrator?
Yeah, you want to go over to his office? I think there's one in the foreign quarter, up near the entrance to the dwarven district.
Do professors have to pay this deed?
Everyone pays, but the
Oh,
Oathsworn.
I roll my eyes as hard as I possibly can um, at Gerard here. Fine, we'll handle that first and then other matters as I
does
look
that
at
count priests?
as I look at as I take a look at Vythan, Gerard.
Well, Blythe kind of says, if you don't mind me, as he kind of steps into an alleyway, I'll be taking a dip as he hides away from the guards and opens up a pothole, walking down into the sewers.
It'll be long before long, Vythe.
As Torvin kind of looks at you. Well, let's get on with it. I've got to see if damned Hikaru burnt down me inn. Not only that, but I don't know what kind of sword tax this is, but I'm not paying it.
Yeah, you guys have fun with that.
It
I'm
might
going home.
cost you an arm and a leg, eh, Torvin?
Already paid the arm as he holds up his sword arm up in the air.
Yeah.
What'd you say,
Oh.
Alistair?
Hey, you guys have fun with that. I'm going home.
I
Might
look at
want.
Togric.
Hmm.
Do you want to take Gerard with you, or do you want me to take him with me?
Well, he's coming to my order first, but I guess we can
That's
skip
fine.
the blade tax for now. I'm sure nothing could possibly go wrong with that. As I roll my eyes and pull open a sewer grate, in you go, shiny one.
Yeah, I'm coming. I'm coming.
So I'll wait for him to go down, and then I'll descend after.
Kilroy, where
Go
are you
with.
going?
I was gonna say, as I'm descending the manhole here, Kilroy, go with Alistair. He's got that legal trouble he might need a professor's help with.
I
I
don't
kind of
think I'll
like
need
look at you
Kilroy's help.
and kind of like give you this glare. And I'm like, I understand. I don't want to, but I
No,
understand.
Kilroy, you're not coming in the house. I'll let you know.
Oh well, I'm going to Emberfall Academy then.
All right, there we go. We got that underway.
Okay. So, Alistair, you're heading towards your home in Northridge, the small suburb on the outskirts of the northern wall. For those of you
Yes.
guys who don't know, Emberfall is the largest city in the realms. Well over 250,000 people live here. So you're heading towards Northridge. Are you stopping along the way to get your paperwork for the sword tax or not?
Nah,
Okay.
I
And
don't know what this is. I haven't been told anything. I am a knight, and I've got a great story to come up with just in case something happens.
all right. You're not going incognito at all. You're just walking forward, right?
I'm a well-known hero of the town.
Okay. Kilroy, what are you doing? You said you're going towards Fall Academy. Are you stopping along the way? Are you going straight there?
I'll stop and do the sword tax. I'm a good boy.
Okay. All right. And then Tagric and Gerard, are you guys going straight to the sanctuary?
That's correct.
All right. So let's see. Let's have Gerard, Alistair, and Kilroy um, all roll me a initiative check, and we'll see who's going first. Well, it's not Alistair,
Please beat a 9.
the man who has +7 initiative. Well, you're going
Well-
before Gerard because you guys both rolled a 9. All right, so we are going to start off, it looks like, with Kilroy. So, Kilroy, as you make your way through the foreign quarter, walking down the main road, Bella at your side, you look around and you realize that the city itself is tense, whereas before, Emberfall is normally a happy place, one of the most well-off places in the realms. And while there's some wealth disparity, it's not nearly as bad as some other places. There's no slavery here, and for the most part, people are treated well. But clearly, things have changed. You don't see any of the familiar hawkers and beggars on the hawkers, I should say, on the side of the road. There's plenty of beggars. None out selling food. As people kind of look out from the windows, their gaunt faces stretched. Thanks for letting me know, Halo. As their gaunt faces stretched. As you walk down, there's a much larger presence of guards. As before, the foreign quarter was quite heavily guarded, but there's even more now. As you can't almost walk around a corner without seeing a pair of guardsmen with their long, flowing red cloaks walking down the street with their click, click, click. Whereas before, sometimes traveled solo, and they weren't even close to these numbers. As you make your way north through the foreign quarter, you see the Gate of Iron off in the distance, and the familiar sight of the manor next to it, where the administration building is. As you walk in and see a small, old, frail, elven woman, long hunched over. She must be extremely old to reach that age for an elf. Behind the circular desk, a large stack of papers next to her. So, how are you doing today? What brings you here?
Could be doing better. I heard I have to get a sword tax.
Ah, yes. You'll want to. Do you own a sword? As she looks at your side.
I have these two little hammers as I pull my coat off and show my waist.
All right, 2 weapons, and you tend to carry them both. Sure. So what you want to do then, is you'll go down and we have our new administrator. He loves his job. Our new administrator for this is right down the hall, first door on the left. You look for a stout gnome. He's actually about your size.
So I got a question. I heard Oathsworn don't have to pay this tax. Since priests typically work with the Oathsworn, do I have to pay this tax?
That's for you and the administrator to discuss. I'm not really it's not my purview.
All right. Point out his
No.
office to me one more time.
Yeah, it's the second door on the left. You're looking for an oak named a gnome named Derek Blight.
Thank you very much. I go down the hall.
Okay, as you walk down the hallway, it's a very nice hallway with long laminate floors and paintings on either side, clearly built with luxury in mind. As you go down and open the slightly ajar door, pushing it in, as you see this small gnome. Once again, there's books open in front of him. As he's got, you see on his far wall, there's just kind of an open door that leads into a small hallway. As you look in, you just see it's just full of weapons. Just full of weapons with different little notes on them and the scribbling of runes. As he kind of looks at you, what is it? What is it? Come in. Come on, I don't have all day.
I was told to get a weapon tax, and I actually had a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So, I heard Oathsworn don't have to do the weapon tax, and I'm a priest. Do I have to still do the weapon tax?
Well, per the Duke's judgment, since the previous high priest of the church was found to be colluding with the demons, yes, you do have to pay the tax, as you've lost your favored status. This kind of looks you up and down. How long have you been with the church?
What if I'm the one who told the Duke he was the one colluding?
No exceptions.
Oh, well, I just joined about a month ago.
That's a shame. He kind of just looks you up and down. It's old, muzzled gnome. He's got this short green beard that kind of comes down into a braid, and it's kind of his hair is kind of going straight back as he kind of just looks you over. Well, how many weapons?
Just 2.
2. All right. Classification?
Returning or steel hammers?
Magical?
Yes.
Are you a mage?
Yes.
Okay. And I assume you won't be peace bonding?
Peace bonding? Do I have to? I was trying to go to Emberfall Academy.
That's fine. So you won't be peace bonding then, okay? As he kind of pulls out this little stretch of paper, begins to scribble something on it. All right, here you go. As he hands this, keep this on you at all times. If any of the guards question you, you'll show it to them. When you gotta leave, find your nearest administration building and show that, and they'll give you your fee.
Thank you.
All right, I believe your total comes to 20 worms a day.
Alrighty.
No, I'm sorry. My arithmetic is off. I'm sorry. That would be 25.
As I kind of point to the paper, and you're kind of old. Are you sure you're reading that number right? Try to
Kind of pulls
persuade him.
down. Pulls down. He pulls out of his pocket a pair of spectacles and. Ah, yes, you're right. It's 24. I'm sorry, my son. Pulls it
Thank you.
down.
Yep. 24 sounds good.
All right. Remember that due when you leave, or at the end of the month, whichever comes first.
Alrighty.
Remember, this is for our safety.
I understand.
All right. Be good.
As I turn around to leave. Head towards
Okay.
Emberfall Academy.
All right. As you head towards Emberfall Academy, passing through the Gate of Iron into the Dwarven District. At this point, I'm going to come over to Gerard. I'm sorry, not Gerard. You guys were last. I'm going to come over to Alistair. As Alistair, you make your way, passing through the Gate of Iron, walking proudly. You're as you try to walk past the gate. Whereas normally there's maybe 5 to 6 guards here, kind of lightly staring and looking down, checking for paperwork of people passing through. You notice there's at least 10 guards here now. As they're asking every single individual. Yep, every single individual that walks up to the wall. All right, show me your paperwork. Show me your paperwork. Access pages. Access pages. As you remember that in order to gain entry into Emberfall proper, you either have to be a citizen or you need to have a paper granting you access from a noble. Well, of course, you're a citizen. As you approach and show your tattoo on your chest that identifies you as a citizen of Emberfall, the quiet red flame. They kind of go, all right, looking down at your weapons. And your sword tax paperwork. Come on. I'm sure it's all online.
My sword, what now?
Your sword tax paperwork. Are you daft?
No, actually, I just got here from what's it called? The dwarf town.
Calmer's Ferry?
Yeah.
Either way, it's not important where you came from, but before I can let you in, you're going to need to go to the administrator and get the proper paperwork. And don't let me catch you again without it.
Let me in
Yeah.
to Emberfall.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. I will make sure that's all in order.
You're new, so you're just fresh back, so I'm sure you didn't know. As you kind of go over, but you need to have that paperwork on you. There's just been a lot of violence lately, and we're making sure that weapons are kept out of, we'll say, dangerous hands.
So you're just taxing everybody.
Yeah. Those that can afford it can keep their weapons.
Okay. Wait. I will make sure that I have the proper stuff for you when I come back.
All right, that works. As you kind of step off. So where are you going then? Are you actually going?
I'm literally going to my house, all right? Because I got to see Mary, and I got to see what was my maid's name? Oh my god, it's been literally like 4 months since I've talked to her.
Mary. Yeah. So well, remember. So Mary is the name of the
the orc,
large orc woman
yeah.
that runs your late father's orphanage. Let me pull up. Let me pull up her.
I haven't seen, because I know I left the maid with Mary to help out Mary while I locked up the whole house.
Let me pull up my notes. And we're in.
It was like Emily, Erica. I thought it started with an E.
You like? Yeah, I like you.
Mm-hmm.
It's Elaine.
Elaine. I knew it started with an E. All right, so yeah, I'm literally going to unlock the house and try to get all that super fun stuff. All
right, so So there's only 2 ways to get to Northridge. Either you can go through the Gate of Steel. The Gate of Iron through the Dwarfen District, or you can go outside and all the way around through Red Ridge all the way up the outside through the sprawl again to Northridge, because you could go over through Hightown, but security's always tougher there than it is here. That's the rich neighborhood. And it's also mostly destroyed because that's where the locus was of the demonic invasion.
Okay. So okay. So the guard wasn't letting me access Emberfall or North.
Okay, so you're in, yeah. So you remember, so you have to walk through
Yeah.
the Dwarfen district through the old quarter to get to Northridge. He's not even letting you into the Dwarfen district because anybody can access the foreign quarter.
All right. Yeah. I'm not paying nothing right now, so I'm gonna have to take the long route.
All right, so you'll have to walk back through the sprawl in order to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Crazy person.
That's the
So-
area that you just got chased out of.
Yeah. So I have to go around
Mhm.
through the foreign district, and then around the back gates to then go into Northridge. Is what I'm hearing, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I'm doing.
All right. As you head your way back over to the gate. As that'll take some time, so I'm going to come off of you, and I'm going to come over to Togric and Gerard. So Togric and Gerard, as you guys make your way down into the sewers, it's warm above ground. It's hot down here. It's sticky, but of course, Togric, you're quite familiar. As you drop down into the low water.
Can't wait for that fort. As I start taking us down the pathway to get over to the sanctuary.
So tell me, exactly what are they going to be able to do down here for me that Vythe couldn't help me with already?
There are things in the order that only our Grand Master knows. I'm sure it's similar with the Oathsworn, but the more intricate methods of handling corruption are typically left with him. So, either way, it's a better first stop than the eggheads over the Academy, or you all burn everything with holy light order. No offense.
I mean, you've heard the stories of Gregor. Could it literally just not be a call for help?
I don't think so. You're getting horrific visions, and that's typically associated with corruption, not someone doing the impossible.
I don't know.
How many times when cases like these have come up have the Oathsworn just said, kill it and burn it? I'd rather avoid that happening to you if I can, Gerard.
I mean, if this don't work, I really feel like I should talk to Jonah about this.
Like I said, we'll go there after. We were just coming here first, remember?
I mean, maybe if I don't go to the whole Oathsworn. Jonah was a close friend of Gregor's.
Yeah, maybe if you don't tell every Hope Paladin from here
Who?
to Point Valiant, you might get away with it.
I'd just like to talk to Jonah. I'd feel more comfortable with that to begin with.
I get it. We'll head there right after this, assuming we don't get flagged for a sword tax. I roll my eyes at that.
What are you talking about? I'm immune to the sword tax.
Yeah, you are. Do you know how many weapons I have on my person? I'll be
I
broke
mean-
in a week.
I could just hold them for you.
As I look over at you with the widest grin you've ever seen. You're a genius. As I'll keep taking us around the twisting corridors to get to that false bilge pump.
All right. As you make your way over to the false bilge pump, quickly pushing the secret location on it as the wall to your right slides over, as you're greeted once again by Sanctuary. The all too familiar sanctum beneath, in the sewers beneath Emberfall of the Path of Dusk. Your order of Death Knights dedicated to using the Shadow's their own power against them, wielding their infernal might against their enemies until, like has begun with Vythe, that their own power eventually overtakes them until they become sullen husks of the enemy. The hope, of course, that you do enough damage to your enemy to negate the damage that you will do once you enter its service.
It's a long bet.
It's a what?
It's a long bet.
Right? It's the long con. As you come in, you're quickly greeted by a familiar face. Is your old friend Rowan Whitethorn, the elf. His curved Masamune over his shoulder, and his shadow mark coming up his neck and touching the tip of his chin. As he looks over to you, welcome back, Togric. As he gives you a big hug. It's nice to see that you're safe.
Safe's relative these days, I suppose.
And how did you go with your father?
Old bastard's hard to put down. We got rid of the
Ah,
assassin, too.
all you dwarves are hard to put down. It must be because you're so short.
Hmm. As I go to, like, kick out his left knee here.
He just kind of
Height doesn't
jumps
give you
back
as
a little
much of an
bit.
advantage as you think, you know. I'm closer to the important bits, as I tap a little bit below my gut here.
We'll see. And if I remember correctly, as remember Gerard, you've been down here before. This is Gerard. Gerard, don't tell me. Say knives.
There you
That's
have it.
correct.
Yes. Whew.
You're cheerful
And,
today.
I'm not sure that this visit is such a joyous occasion, however.
well, it's fine. We didn't lose a man in the
I wait.
attacks. Not only that, but I mean, we've gotten rid of some annoying ones. So I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be upset by this.
That sounds more like you.
Salome. Salome has been imprisoned.
Huh. Really?
Yes.
As I'm smiling here. What for? I always knew he was a bit of an ass, but
Slaughtering a child.
then he's where he belongs. I'm sure he said he was innocent.
No, he admitted the deed.
Doesn't sound
He'll
like
get
him.
out. He'll get out eventually. It's a misunderstanding. It's a difference in our laws and theirs. The child was about to turn.
Ah, I see. I was gonna say it doesn't sound like him to admit to something like that, but
But you know our way.
hmm.
He was about to turn into a shadow fiend. There's nothing that could be done. He'll get out eventually. I just think the Duke is making a show of it. I assume you're here to meet Joros.
Yeah. As I kind of look around this common area here, I don't see Vythe. Has he come by yet?
Yes, he went straight to his chambers. Um, bit of meditation. He doesn't look well, but it's about his time anyway,
Yeah,
as he's just nonchalant.
right. Um, yeah, I'd like to speak to the Grandmaster.
Okay, come along. I think he just got done with Daru.
Daro active a lot lately, huh?
Ah, well, he's been awakened. As he kind of walks down this long, winding hallway. The sanctuary, of course, is this open area, this circular sewer sewer path that winds around this middle green bubbling water. As you walk around to the other side, there's wooden stairwells that go up on either side to this lifted area into a long stone hallway that you know, of course, goes back to Daru's quarters. You guys go to the long hallway on the first floor, which winding back eventually leads to a stone door um, that will open up into Joros's chamber as he kind of sits back here, puffing on a pipe. Um, is what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to go over at this point to Alistair. Alistair is we are. Just a second. Let me pull this up. All right, is Alistair. As you walk up to the gates, the guards have still got the gates shut. As you look out to you see the people have kind of broken through. As you kind of look towards through the pier, the people have kind of dissipated back to their tents. As you walk up to the gate, the guards are like, "Oh, you plan on going out there? I think it'd be wiser if you went to the harbor district."
I need to look at this freaking map. So I'm trying to think.
Either way, you either have to go through the sprawl or really far around, and then it would probably take you more than a day. The quickest way is to go through the Dwarfen District. You can still make it today if you go through the sprawl. It is just more dangerous, but they're just advising you not to go out there because of the tensions. I mean, you could always just try to do it and see what happens. You could try
Yeah,
to
that's what I'm
cloak
probably gonna end up.
yourself and maybe like dirty yourself up. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do. It just depends on how you want to tackle it.
Yeah, I'm going through this sprawl. Like, yes, I know it's tough, but I need to get back to my home, so I have to make this risk.
All right, fair enough. All right, it's your funeral, man. As they go and just barely open the gate as you walk out through the iron palisade. Um, as you look out, there's still this long stretch of destroyed hovels and huts, some lean-tos and tents between you and the masses as you quickly kind of dart off the road, going through the debris. What are you doing? Are you gonna just try to walk through the entire thing, stay on the edge? How do you want to tackle this?
And so we see the last actions of Alistair Ray.
um, I would. Sorry, I'm thinking because there's multiple ways to do. I'm just thinking.
Yeah,
What
you're
I
good. It's
would
up to
do.
you.
I mean, I'm quick enough to definitely dart through, and if like one or two people definitely just hang on or somehow catch me, that the 9 times out of 10 gonna be faster than them. So I'll probably just like kind of do a little dipping and darting through the shadows, the rubble, all that fun stuff.
All right, so you're moving through, but trying to stay in the shadows as much as possible, probably with your cloak up. Okay, roll me a stealth check.
All right. Stealth. Oh, come on, you stupid thing. Here we go.
Critical 20!
That's
Very
what we're talking
nice.
about.
Drop some of my favorite emote in the chat for that.
Sheer
and-
rage.
as you make your way through, darting through the shadows. You see people kind of walking around. For the most part, they pay you no mind as you throw your cloak up. Having been on the road for days, you're of course dirty yourself, having been rained on, matted, and mudded. You're dirty. Your cloak is dirty. You even realize you kind of stink a little bit. It's for the most part you fit in with them perfectly as you make your way through, winding. Eventually, as you get about 2/3 of the way through, off in the distance, you see kind of this destroyed and fire blown remnants of a inn. And up through, standing there talking to two other men, you see the woman that led the attack against you earlier. As she's standing, you can kind of see through the destroyed wall her standing there talking to two others.
Does she seem to be like in a position of like authority, or
Yeah, the other
like
two are
she's?
clearly sitting there while she's talking to them, giving out some sort of commands.
I want to talk to her.
Okay, so how do you want to approach it? The door is there's I mean the door frame. There's no door anymore as it's been burnt out. You could go through there. You could try to observe the place and see if there's another entrance, or you could just hop over the broken wall. Another.
I need to use my confidence for this, so I'm gonna have to just like basically stride up there. You know, I mean, like obviously still my cloak up and I'm still dirty and whatnot, but I mean I'm gonna stride up there and want to talk to Ashley Dumas.
Okay, so as you walk in, walking through the door frame, the two figures behind her kind of widen their eyes as she turns around and sees you there, looking out at you. You're the one from earlier.
Yeah, I am.
You got a lot of balls coming back here.
Yeah, I do. Thank you for that. I'm actually here to talk to you because I've been gone less than a month after the demons and devils invaded, and all of a sudden there's pandemonium going on. What happened?
So go ahead and you can roll me a persuasion.
I think this might be the first time we've ever had to ask Alistair for a persuasion. Ooh.
Yikes.
Is that a critical failure, my son?
It is.
Okay, she kind of looks at you. Nah, I'm good. What I will do is take your coin off of your dead purse. As you look behind you and two more burly figures fill the door frame. As you look up, and there's another one in the rafters. Go ahead and roll me initiative, Alistair. Let's go ahead and move over to the combat section.
All right. Fun stuff.
For fun stuff.
Let me get this set up.
I just want to talk.
Oh.
I just want to talk.
While this is going on, it looks like Halo really, really wants to get Alistair killed.
Oh my god.
So let's go ahead and let's add all of these. Yeah, he's really trying to kill you, man.
I know. I know. That's fine.
All right. Alistair, what was your initiative?
23.
All right. Let me roll for our enemies. Okay. And for our aid enemy, I'm going to put Ashley's initiative at 24.
Just to bump it
All
up
right.
over Alistair. Just
That's
a little
cute.
bit.
I like it.
All right. As we come around, first in the initiative order is Ashley. She kind of looks you up and down with a satisfied look. All right, boys, get him! As she pulls a bit of lumber off of the ground and kind of flips it in her hand. This should do. And she's going to come forward and try to smack you on the side of the face.
All right.
24.
That will hit.
All right. As she comes around, the bit of lumber almost breaking as you hear it crack as it just thumps against the side of your chin. As you are going to take 7 points of damage. She just thumps into you.
Bro,
And
they
she'll
keep
take
doing
another
this.
swing.
She takes another swing?
Yes, 22.
That'll hit.
She comes around once again with the other side, thumping into your side as you'll take 12 points of damage. As she
From
just
a piece of wood.
Yep, she just thumps into you. This time, the end of the wood does break as the end becomes jagged as it flips off. As Alistair, it is your turn. As you look around, you're surrounded. You've got her directly in front of you, just smacking you with the wood. As the other two, you realize, the two in front of you have makeshift clubs, as well as the two in the back. As the one in top kind of picks up some rocks, ready to throw them at you.
I'm looking at what I need to do. Because obviously, I just want to talk. That's all I want to do. All I want to do. I try to be semi-peaceful, and this is what happens. This is why I just fight.
This is why I don't
So,
people.
So I go ahead and unwield my axe, and just basically clap it on the ground. Try to talk to you again. All right. Obviously, this isn't going to work out well for you guys.
Yeah.
I just want to talk.
I'm sure it's gonna work out great for me. Roll me your persuasion.
Crit fails again. Alistair doesn't know how
And
to
since you
die.
crit failed before, I'm giving her advantage on this check.
Oh
All
my
right,
god.
I'm done talking.
He crit failed
He crit
again.
failed
She's kinda-
twice in a row.
As at this point, there's no chance of you charming Ashley Dumas. As she just kind of looks out at you. Sure, boys, don't even worry about it. We'll take the gold off his corpse. As let's see, it is your turn. I'm gonna say with your crit fail that takes your swift action.
So I'm going to bull rush, doubling my movement speed, and let's see here. I got to do some measurements real quick. I'm thinking I'm gonna have plenty of time. Yeah, so I'm
Okay.
gonna bull rush. I believe it is. Yeah, it's basic attack. Yeah, it's not really basic attack. It's doubling my movement speed. And how it works is if I go here, the token movement collides with at least one wall. Come on. All right, so you see this back left corner that I can still see, Lance, or right, like
Yeah,
some way
were
for
you
me to
trying to
highlight.
go over there?
No, like right here. Oh, why can't I highlight it? I'm trying to go through these two guys, and
Yeah.
almost
So you can try to push past them. You'll take an attack of op.
it's
Two
bull
attacks of
rush.
op.
Yeah, it's a bull rush. So
Oh,
I'll
you're
be
trying to bull rush past them?
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's a fortitude save, correct?
yes,
Okay.
and actually more towards like the back left corner of what I can see.
Okay,
I don't
that's
know
because there is a wall there.
Okay,
That's another building if you look at the map.
okay, I see it.
So let's see. So the first one will dive out of the way quickly, pushing himself against the wall as he completely misses everything with the critical. The second one is a bit slower on the uptake. He's kind of looking at his friend like, what the fuck are you doing? As you just barrel straight into him, pushing through. Deal your damage, man.
That's a it's a 1d6.
Okay.
For 1d6. It's 5 damage to him. It's nothing
All right,
crazy,
5
but I'm
damage.
just trying to.
As you kind of push into him, as you get out of it, as you're no longer surrounded, as you kind of turn around, as they're
Yeah, I'm
turning to face you.
trying to get more deep, like right. Okay, no, I can't move. This is so stupid. Yeah, like right
There you
there.
go.
That
Okay.
way I'm basically out of their range. I'm turning around, yelling,
So-
like, I don't want to do this.
Then you shouldn't have came back as they begin to chase after you. All of them running out as we'll come around. As they will run forward, they will charge at you. Both of the heavy guys here
Bro, I should have done my
trying
full
to strike
damage.
you.
I should have
As
done my
these two
full.
come out. And this one comes out there as the two that run up you with clubs attempting to beat you down as both of them charge right at you. You'll give us your coin or you'll die here. Does a 19 hit?
No.
And does a 17 does not hit as both of them run up and try to smash you. As the one in the back that was on the top of the rafters wheels around his sling as he goes to throw it at you. His makeshift sling made out of cloth. 25.
Since there's two guys in front of me, does that do anything for me? Like-
He would take disadvantage if he didn't have precise shot, but he does. As you will take 3 points of damage.
Alright.
As the woman runs out and just kind of stands here leaning against the wall watching her people beat you down. And she's like, so, you gonna give us your purse yet?
Tell you what.
Go ahead.
I will donate to you if I get a chance to talk to you.
Donate. Why would I take your donation when I can just take all of it? As you
All
realize
right,
people are kind of beginning to look over and see what's going on from the nearby tents, kind of peering off. into the distance.
Two grit fills have ruined any chance of diplomacy, my son.
I guess I'm diplomacy by blood. So is she doing anything, or can I?
She's in the back. You have the two heavies in front of you.
All right, I'm tired of these guys. I'm so sick and tired of it. I'm attacking the dude right in front of me.
Okay.
29 hit.
A 29 definitely hits. As you bring around your axe, as it shimmers red, as you just slice into this man who's not even wearing armor.
Oh,
28
I
damage.
forgot his axe hurts himself too.
Yeah.
As you bring it down, you just pummel into him as he just crumples to the ground.
Oh wait, /R. /R 1d6. I will take. I'm gonna end up hurting myself more than.
More than they hurt you.
So then, I will go to cleave. Of course.
Okay.
16 hit.
As you bring your axe down, smashing to the other one, just ripping through his clothes. Once again, none of these are wearing armor or wield proper weapons. As your axe just embeds itself into his side, as he crumples to the ground, as he begins to cough up blood and just fall.
6. Another 6 damage.
As you go to strike into him, the red from your blade arcs back at your chest, striking you as you begin to bleed a little bit. Wounds just opening over your body.
All right. Please, I just want to talk. All right? Give me a chance. I do not want to do this to you all.
Because you just
Please.
eviscerated two men in front of her in two swings, I will give you one, and only one, more persuasion check.
If not, I'm just moving out of there. I still have my movement speed. It's fine. Oh my god, I can't stand it. 11! It's better than nothing.
Better than a crit fail, I guess, but not by much.
Yeah, not great.
As you look over at her, two more people appear down from the alleyway as another one appears behind you the way you came. As she looks around. You have 1 minute. Speak quickly.
Okay. Here's what happened. All right. I fought in that invasion. All right. Killed all the demons. I was trying to help the people. Okay. Now, we had to leave because one of my companions, his father was dying. Okay. I come back. People are getting attacked. People are out there dying, I assume, in complete poverty, fighting over food. I don't want this to happen. I want to help. I'm going to do whatever I can to help you all because I was a poor orphan and it does not seem right with me. I run an orphanage. I just want to help the people with whatever I could do with my sword. I am willing to help with the cause. Whatever needs to be done. Just want to talk and help. And all I get is attacked for trying to talk. What's going on?
She kind of looks you down over. You can roll your persuasion. You can take advantage because what you said is true. You do run an orphanage.
Dude.
It's good that you have. Oh God.
14. 14.
All right.
So the massacre of the slums begins.
She kind of looks over you. I might believe you enough. I might believe you a little bit more if you made a bit of donation ahead of time. As she kind of eyes your gear and your weapon. Looks like you can afford it.
Look at my inventory because I want to make a hefty donation, but nothing too crazy that's going to ruin me.
I know you can afford it. You look like you're well fed and pampered inside the city, where they still give out rations instead of leaving us to starve.
I will give you 500 drakes, and I want to take you to, 1, my house, and 2, my orphanage that I run, so you can see that I'm telling you the truth.
Drop it on the ground.
All right,
and
so
then
I
back
take out
away
my
slowly.
I take out my purse. I'm going to take out 500 drakes.
Okay.
And I'm going to drop it down on the ground.
Okay.
And I'm
as you
going to back
drop
away.
it and step back away. Friedrich! As this boy that just kind of showed up, the one that pelted you with rocks. Go and grab the coin. Me? I don't know. She just go and get the coin as she slaps him. Okay. As he just gingerly walks forward at first, eyeing you back away. Once you
So
get to a
as I
sizable distance, he begins to
back away,
sprint and run
and
right
I'm
for the
going to
coin.
I'm gonna back away, and I'm gonna just basically put my axe away too. Just sling it right back on my back.
Okay. You see, runs and grabs the coin and comes back and hands it to her. She takes out a few, pulling out some of the silver and taking a bite. Budding looks real enough.
Yeah.
Okay. You caught my interest. What's your name?
My name's Alistair. Alistair Ray. I
Okay.
was orphaned by my parents at a young age, raised by a dwarf, taught to fight and do the right thing by him while raising an orphanage. Which is when I see all these people come from Illidion, where I was at as well, by the way, it doesn't seem right, and I want to know what's going on, the full story, and what we can do to hopefully fix this.
You were at Illidion for the fall.
Yes, I was with my late father, Otello, running supplies to the other orphanage that we run over there. Uh, that's where he died.
She looks you up and now what's the name of the orphanage you run then?
Doesn't really have a name, it's just the orphanage.
Okay. Alright. You can take me there and I'll see it.
Alright.
But if I don't like what I see, I'm smashing your skull in and taking everything from your home. For good measure.
I'm thinking to myself, Mary wouldn't let that happen anyway, so it's alright.
Hey, what was my
Alright.
housekeeper's name again? Continues to call him by the wrong name.
Hey, Jeffrey. I'm a woman.
Mary's the big female orc, remember? The
Yeah.
one that's massive?
Yeah. She's basically my mother figure,
But she's not at your house. She's at the orphanage.
which just so happens to be connected to my house.
It's across the street, but it's essentially right there.
It's next door. So yeah. So I'll be like, if you want to follow me and bring one person with you as a bodyguard, we'll show you that I'm telling you the truth.
Okay. As she gathers the pouch up and hands it to the man next to her, as she kind of whispers something into his ear before the rest of the folk disappear. As she steps forward, I won't risk any other lives here, but maybe you've got some food or something that can help these people, and that's what matters. Take the lead.
Fair enough. So I guess stride along to my house.
Yep, as you walk forward through the sprawl, as you're walking forward, going through this area, when you walk with Ashley, nobody around here will hurt you, as people really give you a wide berth.
They weren't hurting me. I was hurting myself.
um, so yeah, so at this point we're about halfway through our session. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our 15-minute break and take a step away. When we come back, we'll come back with Kilroy as he's attempting to get to Emberfall Academy. We'll say we won't take a whole 15. Let's take 10. We'll be back at 10 after, guys. All right?
Sounds good. All right, we are back in.
All right, everybody, and we're back. Quick updates before we get back into the game. For those of you guys that are here for our update, the directions are in the chat for how to go find that. I mean, for the giveaway, we are doing a giveaway of a free copy of Candlekeep Mysteries. The instructions for how to enter are on our Twitter page, which is, of course, on the stream. We will be announcing a winner on March 10th. So I know a lot of people are excited about this new book from Wizards. So if you want to get yourself a free copy, go ahead and make sure that you enter. So it's pretty fun. With that being said, we're going to get back into the game. So, the last thing we had done, Alistair, of course, trying to sneak his way through the sprawl, making his way back to Northridge and his home there to revisit with his friends at the orphanage and sleep in his own bed for once, stumbled upon Ashley Dumas, the female who had led the horde or the mob of refugees sleeping in the tent city of the sprawl outside of Emberfall and attacking them as they approached the city. He tried to speak to her, engage with her, convince her that he was on her side, but it didn't quite go his way after 2 crit fails in a row on persuasion checks, and combat ensued as he mowed his way. He took a few good licks from a piece of wood as Ashley bonked him over the head twice. But these refugees with no armor and no weapons really stood no chance against Alistair as he cut 2 of them down with ease before quickly showing them that he was not to be trifled with. After a brief discussion in which he agreed to hand over 500 drakes, they agreed to talk, and she's traveling north with him to go to Northridge, a municipality on the northern side of Emberfall. As we come over to Togric and Gerard, they were in the Sanctum, far in the sewers beneath Emberfall, as they were going to speak to Joros Vosh, the Grand Master of the Path of Dust, the Order of Death Knight, the Death Knights that works in the shadows to fight against evil, using its own power against them. But what we're going to do is we're going to come back to Kilroy, who had just made it past the Gate of Iron, making his way through the Dwarven District and past the Gate of Steel until he comes over to the Arcane Gate, which is the barrier between the rest of Emberfall and Emberfall Academy, the place of learning, knowledge, where the elevated and the educated go within the city. As the arcane barrier that separates it from the rest of the city is dropped. Kilroy, you walk through the gates as you see the towering moat of earth floating in the air, the chains long made of iron and steel clamped against the ground, holding it from floating away as you see the floating abyss, the magnificent tower that floats above the rest of the city, flying in the air.
Kilroy finally have this moment as I have my head held high and I am proudly showing off my Professor Emeritus badge, strolling on the back of my bear, going through these gates for the first time with it on. I look at one of the mages nearby. I'm like, "Do you know where Alcaz is?"
As you walk by one of the mages, a lowly initiate, you can tell by his garb, a young human, maybe no older than 14. Sorry, sir. The Grand Master should be up in his chambers.
Up there?
I guess I don't keep tabs. He's the Grand Master.
I remember that his chambers are up there, right?
Yes, you do have to fly up, and he stays in the pinnacle of the tower.
All right, Bella, let's go. She starts to flap her dragon wings, and we take off.
Okay. As she flaps her wings, as your incarnate bear, I should say, begins to fly you up as you wave through the chains, coming up to the towering citadel that is Emberfall Academy. You fly up to the entrance to the castle. As recognizing who you are, you're quickly admitted within. As an old wizened man kind of greets you. Welcome. Uh, it's you're Kilroy, right? You're that young gnome that just fought with the against the demons.
Young, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
You're
That is me.
you're all young to me, lad. Once you hit 100, then let me know. Your business.
I am actually 200 and 200 years old, sir.
Oh, that's fine. And what's your name?
Kilroy Thumperdiddle.
Oh, nice. And what's your business?
I'm here to see Alcaz.
Okay, okay, all right. I think I remember how to cast this spell. As he holds out his hands and begins to put his hands to the earth as he starts to chant Umashe, Umashe, as the light around him begins to glow with a blue light. As slowly in front of you, a staircase begins to build itself, brick over brick, eventually leading up to a door that appears in the side of the wall. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. And on the back of Bella, we begin to make our way up to the door.
All right. As you're riding your bear up this staircase, you get up to the top, opening the door. It's not made for bears, and it's a very, very tight fit. As you try to squeeze your bear through this hole, you make it partial way through before her rump gets stuck in the door frame.
I go to the other side. I give her a little push.
Give me a strength check.
Um, 13.
13. All right. As you go to push, you just push, push, but she's not fitting through.
I forgot I can do this. I snap my fingers. Turns to
Okay.
a little bear.
As you snap your fingers and quickly just with a puff of smoke, there's just a small bear cub in front of you, her wings gone, as she just kind of looks up at you and coos.
It's been so long since you've been like this. I haven't been out of danger in so long, and I pick her up. I'm like, all right, let's go talk to Alcaz. Have her in my arms.
Okay. As you come out, it's just a long hallway, singular, that goes down. No doors on either side, just artifacts. As you make your way towards a door at the end, shimmering green and purple colors waft through this barrier. And as you go and place your hand upon it, it disappears, revealing a very well furnished office. Um, there's a reclining couch on one side with a table in front of it. You see the stained glass windows that are tall upon the top of the curved tower room that this is set in. This open glass patio reveals a view of a well lit beach off in the distance. Obviously, not of Emberfall. As you hear but cannot see the twittering song of birds in the rafters of the office. There's a very grandiose desk, well carved of mahogany wood, behind which sits Alcaz. I know you've met him before, but to describe him for those of you that are new, Alcaz, as he kind of sits back with his well-worn features, is the Grand Master of Emberfall Academy and one of, if not the most powerful mage in the marches. Um, his well-worn features look up at you from the book as he sets it down. His black skin, very dark skinned, with a black and white salt and pepper beard that comes down well trimmed. He's got very short cropped hair, graying at the temples. He wears his long blue robes inlaid with silver and cloth of gold that come down the side. He's got two large rings on his left hand with very large studded jewels, and one in his right. As you see a metal scepter, metal staff, leaning against his desk with an ashwood tip. Is he? Um, Gilroy, what can I do for you?
So, first I have a question, and then I kind of have a favor.
Well, anything I can do for one of the saviors of Emberfall? Go ahead.
Um, what's going on with taking everybody's weapons? What happened since I've been gone?
There's just with the attack, most of our I mean, Hightown was always the safest area. That's where, and it's an interior, safe location. It's elevated compared to the rest of the city. It's where we had stored a lot of our grain and foodstuffs in the event of a siege. Um, Almost all of it was destroyed during the attack. We've done our best to feed everyone as well as we can, and we've sent out riders and emissaries to try to get um, foods from other areas. We've bought almost every bit of meat, grain, or bread, fruit, and cheese that can be found within the city, but still, by the end of within just a few weeks, the city will be dining on rats. So, um, rationing had to take into effect. People, of course, when they don't eat, they gain on edge, and violence started to erupt in different parts of the city. I think the refugees, and we'd have to take care of our own citizens first. The refugees were among some of the last to be fed, and I think they resented that. And violence quickly erupted throughout the place. So we instituted the sword tax to not only try to keep the peace, but we used those funds to try to procure more food to alleviate the suffering from other areas.
I could definitely tell that the refugees had anger and animosity towards everyone.
I mean, I understand it from their point of view. I mean, their home was just destroyed. They come here for help. And then, I mean, and now this, it's been rough for them lately. I understand why they're frustrated.
I just don't understand why they would attack me when I helped them. I gave them food and they rushed me.
Are you, uh, what, you fed them? Um, I mean, maybe they thought you had more. I don't know. I mean, hunger, I wouldn't try to examine it logically. Hunger drives us all mad, and a madman doesn't think rationally.
That's fair. And on to my favor. Would you know how to teach me how to dreamwalk?
Is it just kind of how to what?
Uh, slip into somebody else's dream.
Oh, unfortunately, it's not a practice I ever studied. Um, the only man I've ever known that could do it was Balthazar, and of course, he's not with us anymore. Um, I know it's possible. Um, why would you want to walk through somebody's dream?
So, well, you remember Gerard St. Ives.
Of course.
As I start to begin to pull out the sketchings of the wards that I have and lay them out in front of him, he keeps being summoned somewhere when he sleeps by something corrupted.
Okay, so let's. Is he just kind of not even reacting, just analytically examining the data that you've presented to him? Let's take a step back. So he's disappearing and being summoned elsewhere.
He's not disappearing.
Define what you mean by summoned.
So he's physically still here when he's sleeping because I'm examining his body when he's sleeping. This black aura that's corrupted is enveloping around him, mostly focusing on his head while he's sleeping. And anything that happens to him in there physically happens to him on the outside here.
This is extremely concerning. Um, I haven't really done a lot of study on the realm of Rancor. When I studied the Outer Planes, it was mostly Del Nakar. Um, this is not really my area of focus. Um, find a specialist, someone who knows more than anyone else about this area.
Would you know anybody like that here
I would,
by chance? Okay.
not here, but I would. As he kind of just eyes you, but you've got to promise me not to tell the Duke that I sent you there.
I will do my best.
There's only one person that I know that's actually studied the demons and devils that have came out from the last calamity and who studied Rancor to the depths that you're going to need and their magics there. Um, she's just she's not quite all there anymore. She suffered a tragic loss. You'll want to go west along the Black Road to Shadow Glen. Um, I think might have passed through there before. When you reach Shadow Glen, you know the Mere of Lost Souls to the north of it, the site of the battle between the hordes and Balthazar and Zenithar Blake during the Calamity.
Yeah.
Um, Somewhere in the Mere, in the southern part, you'll find a bit of land untouched by the rest of the corruption of the area. There you'll be looking for Anna Blake, the wife of the late Duke Balthazar.
Um, so we are kind of in a hurry because this is getting worse with him.
I can take a look at him, but I'm not. I'm no expert in these matters. I know people that have studied how to fight the demons and devils. I know people that have studied the effects like you have of the shadow and its corruption, but somebody that's actually studied this type of magic and how it works and Rancor itself, I know of none better.
Thank you very much for the help.
If
Currently
you want to
Gerard
bring him here, I'll take a look at him. I'm more than willing to examine him before you leave.
currently Gerard is with the Death Knights. We thought that might be best
Why would you take him there instead of to his own order first?
because
Wouldn't
this was on the way back or
just
on
think
the way there.
I would just think he would want to go to Jonah before anyone, but it's not my place. I will say, um, if this gets any worse, I need to be made known about it immediately. If there's any chance of whatever's doing this, when opening the gates, we still don't know how they're doing it. Something about the use of artifacts, but my greatest fear would be that whatever's causing this is intending to use Gerard as an artifact to open a gate. And if that's the case, we can't let that happen.
Would you happen to have a sending stone I could have?
Not on me, but as he pulls a piece of paper. If you take this down on the first floor near the entrance, they should be able to get you with one. It's a fairly easy item to procure. For us,
Thank
anyway.
you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Is there anything I can do for you, Professor?
Would you happen to have any books on the Ghiscari laying around?
Oh, I mean, in what sense? I mean, there's so much to learn about the Ghiscari. We still don't understand it all. I mean, are you
They
talking about their hierarchy, um, certain branches of study, their fall, their rise? I mean, to what do you refer? I mean,
they
their history
studied
spans 10,000 years.
they studied a way to dreamwalk, enter another's dream.
Um, I can't think of anything offhand, but I'll have some of our scholars comb the library for you.
Thank you very much.
And remember, whenever things settle down, you're always invited to come back and lecture.
I'll come back whenever I find out what happened to my wife and where the shadow is that hurt my wife.
Okay. Best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. As you walk out, is now I will come back over to Gerard and Togrick. Oh, go
As I'm
ahead.
walking out, I have to leave this little side note. Why don't you just have some mages conjure food as I close the door?
So, as you just kind of close the door and he doesn't have a chance to respond. So, with your comment, you will know that that would work for a few people, but there's not. Arcane casters aren't prevalent enough to be able to feed everyone like that. It wouldn't be practical. They could do it for like a group of people or like a very, very small portion of the city, but it would be impractical to feed 250,000 people like that,
I was just
especially
thinking,
with the 50,000 refugees currently sitting outside of the city.
while they're procuring food, they could be stockpiling. Also, what was my point?
Yeah, I mean that food doesn't last forever. It could be used immediately, but you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a short-term option for a few people, but he doesn't have a chance to respond as you walk out.
Yep.
Togrick and Gerard. So you guys have come in as the last time we were with you. The door was opened. As you guys walk into the study or the office of Joros Vosh, Grandmaster of the Path of Dusk. He's maybe in his early 30s. I know you guys have seen him before, but I'll introduce him for the crowd. Long, thin black hair that's extremely straight that falls down to his shoulders as he wears a bit of plated armor, very light and lithe coming over his shoulders. His cloak taken off, his thin black cloak sitting over his desk. As you see his curved scimitar and dagger also sitting on the desk above his cloak. As he kind of sits back, pursing his lips and rubbing his forehead. As you open the door, he looks up. Ah, Togrick, it's nice to have you back. And your friend Gerard is with us again, I see.
Yeah,
As he looks at you with his piercing black eyes and extremely clean-shaven face, his skin is very pale, even for a human. He's almost deathly pale.
I'm guessing that conversation didn't go exactly as planned. As I kind of gesture to the hallway where Daru rests.
Daru has his own mind, but it's nothing to be concerned about. What brings you bringing another companion again, or the same companion again, I should say?
Gerard has been having semi-realistic dreams of Rancor. He's
Of Rancor.
He's still
Come
physically
in.
here. Yeah.
Sit.
As I shut the door behind us and have a seat.
You turn around and he goes, a conversation like this needs a drink, as he pulls out a bottle of wine and puts a goblet in front of each one of you and pushes a platter with a few chocolates in front of you. As he looks at you, Gerard, very pale, eat some of that. It'll help.
Oh, I sure think it will. As I grab the goblet of wine.
I leave the chocolates on the plate. He's still physically present here, of course, but injuries he sustains during his dream seem to translate. Not exactly the wound itself, but the damage it's inflicted. We've noticed a tiny trace of corruption on him shortly after he awakens.
Does the corruption linger while he's awake?
No, it disperses almost immediately once he is conscious.
It's almost like...
I see he's pale and your sword arm shakes a bit. Are you feeling weaker?
Yes, of course. I mean, that happens with the lack of sleep. Either way. If you'd like, you guys can monitor me during my sleep tonight. Although, it was at first the same dream every night, and it seemed to be played out like a story. There was a beginning and an end. It always began the same way, and once I walked through a specific door each time is when I woke up. I tried to take more time to observe what else was around, but the moment that I had a few different paths that I could have taken, the dream changed. And instead of being dragged to Rancor, I was pulled to a distant memory of myself first coming upon Point Valiant.
And I pull out a copy of the runes that he had carved from the obelisk in his dreams.
Fascinating.
It all
And
seems
this
to revolve
here,
around Gregor.
these runes are infernal. These aren't even. This isn't even fell.
Apparently he found them on a rock in the first dream. Obelisk of sorts.
Luckily,
Tall black tower covered in runes, which was what I felt was summoning me each time, or where I was summoned to, until it changed 2 nights ago.
I don't know scholar, and I've never bonded with a demon to be able to speak infernal, but I recognize the structure of the incantation. Um, it's a focus area, almost as if a midpoint. It's meant to connect two distant places, and it almost acts as a magnifying glass for whatever the caster or the magi is doing through. It acts as a midpoint to help bend the focus, but it also acts as a magnifying glass for the power. um, this is probably, from where they're connecting you, it's probably a place that's where the veil is weak, whatever is sending you these images.
Is
Whether
this
it's
something that a holy caster could pull off, a paladin or a cleric could pull off themselves, or is this
this
darker?
incantation here? I mean,
I'm just
do you know any paladins that have ever closely melded with a demon? I mean, it's not unheard of for a holy man to know how to speak infernal, but I mean, the language itself doesn't necessarily taint the incantation. I mean, this form of an incantation, while I can't tell you the specifics because I don't speak the language, I recognize the form. It could be used by anyone. It's just the language that's different. But I mean, I guess if I was a paladin and I was operating within Rancor, I'd probably use Fel instead of Enochian. It would probably work better.
we're just trying to figure out. So far, the party believes it's a demon reaching out to me, but each time it's Gregor begging me to save him. And I know he's
My
there.
guess, I know you want to believe your friend is reaching out to you. My guess would be that it's something with ill intent. But I mean, if your friend is reaching out to you, I'm no expert, but I would think that the corruption of the realm in which he's been imprisoned might taint the message that you receive.
It's like it's being filtered.
It's possible. The only way you could avoid that, I mean, casting in other realms always changes the magic. The only way you could avoid it is if you had mastery over the source, which is a sobering thought.
Well, I'm going to be real honest. This is the closest thing that I have to knowing where Gregor is. And I'm really just trying to find a way to Rancor.
I think you want to calm down there. Um, for all you know, that could be exactly what whoever's sending you these images wants. Caution is the order of the day as he looks over at you, Togric, with a kind of a glare.
What could they possibly want with us? We weren't on the same tier as Gregor or Andar. We don't have the power that they do.
That is the question, isn't it? But if one of my people to all of a sudden start getting dreams from Rancor, my first response to them would not to be to run off gallivanting to the seven hells.
I'm not saying that I'm going to go myself. There's definitely preparations to be made.
You're crazy for even suggesting it. One inkling of a tiny drop in the ocean of demons made it to Emberfall, and it damn near fell.
Do you expect me to leave him there? You expect me to
Yes.
cast a blind eye and just hope he figures it out?
As he just looks right at you. Yes.
I can't. I'm sorry.
So you have no idea how to make these stop, Master?
Not a clue. I mean, we could. I mean, I actually, yeah, I could stop him right now if you want to throw him in a cell, and put him underneath Daru's protection. He'll never have another dream again. He's not going to leave.
I'd rather you didn't.
That's not possible. Little steel in my tone. Was worth a shot. And
Have you ever brought anything back with you from the other side?
I cast my dagger into the lava. When I woke up in the morning, it was bright red. Nothing stays. But there's definitely evidence that it had been tampered with.
do we have anything from any of the demons or anything we've slain in our possession,
Plenty.
Gerard?
Oh, I thought you were talking to me.
Let me go through my pack and see what we have.
It's possible it might be some leftover taint on a weapon from there. Maybe. I know our group is fond of picking up those kinds of things.
I hold more than my fair share of cursed items.
And Vythe doesn't have. I'm sure you're already aware, but maybe weeks.
I know. We'll deal with it when the time comes.
Yeah. Right.
Actually, I believe I gave all of the cursed items to Kilroy. I don't hold anything tainted with shadow.
It's not just something you had, I guess.
It seems to be targeted at him specifically. Based on the intent, first off, this rune is not something that just any mage could do. So it's either Gregor or an extremely powerful demon. No devil's capable of crafting this spell. Not only that, but to focus it specifically on you, it has to have intent. So, question is why? If you're able to bring things back with you, as he looks at you again, Tagric, that's quite concerning, as they could be using you to try to open a gate or to try to draw you in to Rancor for whatever reason. I think it's best if you stay away. Try to forget these dreams for now. Don't go gallivanting off and making a mistake you'll regret.
I don't know how I can ignore these dreams when they come every night. I need real answers, and I need them soon.
Thank you for your time, Grandmaster. As I kind of
Well,
scrape my chair against the
Gerard,
floor.
why don't you wait outside for a moment while I speak to Tagric? I need to debrief him anyway about his journey.
I can do that.
Oh, hell.
Thank you for your time.
Alright, so you step out, and I whisper in "Oh hells" under my breath.
As you shut the door and he turns to you, this is concerning.
Yeah, that's why we came
If
here
he's
first.
capable, the dagger came back hot, means he's capable of bringing things back from Rancor through his dreams.
I noticed it was an issue. I was hoping they were limited to injuries on his person, but we found
Well, it
that
might
out.
start off that way, but that's the point of these dreams. And the further along they go, the more the bond is. If he becomes a potential conduit for things to come back from the hells, you know what needs to be done.
I'm aware. As I grit my teeth. But that's not always the first thing we go for, Grandmaster. What makes us different than his order.
I know. I'm just saying.
Dare understands, in case you care. They should be sending aid to Emberfall before too long.
Good. And your father?
He's lucky I showed up as quickly as I did. Vythe was really useful in helping concoct something to counteract the poison.
Good. I'm glad we can leave all this behind us.
Yeah. Yeah, I just Can't help but feel responsible for the tipping point for Vife. He pushed himself these last few weeks.
It was coming either way. With your perception check outside Gerard, because I saw that, you're catching some of it. The door is pretty thick. You heard a bit of talk about Darrendur and talking about Tagrick's father's health, but you didn't catch most of the low conversation about you.
And you're certain you're not entertaining the alternative?
Of course. I mean, we'll examine all possibilities. I'm just making sure that in the end, you'll do what needs to be done.
I know that. I meant with Vife. We seem to accept that the way we have now is the only way, and
That's the way that's taught to us by our Lord. And who are we to question him? He knows about these things.
he knew enough to fall. It's like
Are you
that.
questioning his intention to fall? Would you have made a different decision?
No, just hindsight is all. I'm gritting my teeth and having a hard time staying professional in front of the Grandmaster.
Are you trying? So, okay, roll deception.
Okay. I mean, I'm not lying about anything. I'm just trying to,
I know.
keep it in check.
No, I know.
13. Not great.
As he just kind of looks at you knowingly. I know these last few weeks have been hard for you, between your sister and then your father and the attack. Just have faith.
Right.
Have faith in the process.
Sure. Can do, Grandmaster.
As he kind of ushers you away as you walk out of the door.
I close it with a little more
Seeing
force than necessary.
As you see Gerard there kind of leaning against the wall, looking at you.
My cock and eye. Eavesdropping? Unlike you.
I need answers, and I need them quick. If I can save Gregor, I need to do it as fast as possible.
Maybe worry about saving yourself before you worry about everyone around you, huh? As I shake my shoulders.
That's not my code, and you know that.
Huh. Yeah. For all the good it's done everyone so far. You save a city, the damn people eat each other. You save a country, civil war. Just gets really old, you know?
But what would happen to the world if there weren't people like me?
I don't know, and at this point, I guess I never will.
We each fight our respective battles. Just like without the Oathsworn, as there wouldn't be without the Death Knights. We'd respectively get overrun with our own battles.
As I kind of, put my hands behind my head and stretch. If there weren't any Oathsworn, we'd have better, bunks than these. I gesture to the sewer, but I know what you mean. Besides, I know you want to go get to, your leader as quickly as possible, so. Besides, this place wasn't much help at all. As I kind of look around the shabby state of affairs in our sanctuary here. Come on.
I'm not seeking Jonah out for just answers. Maybe I'll find a little comfort there as well.
Of course. Come on. There's a lot more turns than, I think you'd get lost if I let you go by yourself. As I, lead him out of the sanctuary here and take him out through into the, I believe they're in the temple district. Is that right?
Yes. So if you were looking for the Oathsworn there in the Temple District, that is correct. As you walk through the sewers trying to come up in that area, so we're going to come over to Alistair. As Alistair, the day begins to pass on into the afternoon. It was about midday when you arrived, until finally the sun begins to set. As you
Chicken
make your
sandwich
way
pretty good,
through,
right?
what'd you say?
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. As you make your way through the rolling hills of Red Ridge, as you see the As you make your way to Northridge, seeing the town off in the distance, the palisade wall that had been built during the initial onslaught of refugees having since been torn down. And there's a small tent city that sprung up on the outside of Northridge as well.
Did you fade out there for a sec?
What was the last thing you heard?
About going to saw
Northridge
the
as well.
Northridge as well.
Okay. Yeah, as you're heading towards Northridge, you see they had taken down the wooden palisade wall, but the refugees had still come up to Northridge as well, as you see a
Okay.
small tent city has sprung up around your hometown. Um, the the buildings here are still built up to the edge of the city, however, but the gate, as it was for most of your life, remains closed.
So obviously I'm gonna walk up to the gate. Um,
Well, I'm talking about the gate into Emberfall. Since you walked all the way around, you can just
okay.
walk into Northridge. There's, of course, a northern gate, but it's not often used. Most of the time, they make you walk
Yeah,
around
that's what I
all
was
the way to the
confused.
south. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Yeah. Um, so Ashley, this is my hometown. Not as packed normally, but that'll happen.
Well, that's what happens when a city of 100,000 gets slaughtered and destroyed.
Of course. Um, so yeah, I guess I should probably take you to my house. Haven't been there in just under a month. We'll see what's going on there.
Okay, so as you walk through the city, walking through the small tent village that sprung up outside, they kind of eye you warily, um, and eyeing Ashley as well, walking alongside you. It doesn't seem as if Ashley knows these refugees out here, but she kind of stares at them as they quickly let you pass as you make your way into the city proper.
Okay.
Walking past the pleasure house that lines this road to the west, it's extremely busy. As there's even a line outside, as it seems the town is bustling with more people than are usually here. As you walk your way further in, you make it to the plaza, ringed with shops. Your father Otello's old bar, the Flask and Flagon, bursting with people as you can hear the songs of drunken dwarves emanating from within its hall. You look to the south and you see Otello's orphanage still standing there. As you see children going about playing in the yard. You don't spy Mary or Sarah, but of course you do hear sounds coming from within. As you look
Okay.
over at your house, however, staring at its walls, there appears to be um, a banner that's been placed in front of it, almost like what would be tape today, strewn in front of it, as there are two guards standing in front. And there is a notice taped, nailed to your door.
I'm gonna go talk to the guards. Obviously, it's there in front of my house.
Okay, as you walk over and walk over to the guards, there's a look of recognition as the guard sees you, as he quickly looks past you and raises up your hand. As you turn back and you see kind of five guards that were standing at the other side of the plaza just kind of fall in, not walking up behind you, but kind of forming up about 20 feet behind you, staying a bit back as you approach your home. You walk up and you realize that the guard that recognized you notice him. He grew up within Northridge. His name is Andrew. And you've known him since you were a lad, but you didn't know that he joined the guard. He's kind of walks through. Hello, Alistair.
Andrew.
Nice to have you home.
Oh, of course, it's wonderful to be home. I think. For such a busy town, for guards to be just guarding one empty house. What's up? What's going on, Andrew? We've been together. We've grown up together-ish.
We don't want any trouble, Alistair. Okay.
right,
as he kind of steps forward and he grabs the notice off of the door. But I think you're going to want to read this.
Gonna grab it and read it.
Okay, as you read it off. Attention, Alistair Ray, or to those whom it may concern. Due to the adjudication and case placed upon this home by one, just a second, I'm pulling up the name, by one Calzad, son of Otello, while waiting for the case as to the rights and estate of the rights to this home from the estate of Otello, this house has been placed under the control of the Northridge Council until such a time as the case can be ruled or a settlement is reached. Yours truly, the mayor.
Okay, so I'm gonna read it. Look at Andrew. Be like, obviously, I had my super fun run-in with Calzad before we left. This was probably gonna happen anyways.
For those of you
Andrew.
guys, because this happened
Yep.
before the stream, so Otello died in the very first scene. He's the dwarf who raised Alistair and left him everything. Otello's a very old dwarf, and so Alistair wasn't aware that supposedly Otello had a son named Calzad, who showed up after his father's untimely demise, demanding a portion of Alistair's inheritance, but Otello left him nothing. Alistair asked about and learned that there was a bit of a falling out, and Calzad had fleeced Otello for a significant portion of his sizable fortune before he left. And so, anticipating a legal battle before he left, Alistair hired an attorney, but of course comes back, and now his house has been owned by the state until such a time as you guys can settle your differences, or the state can rule, the judge can rule on the case.
All right, so I'm gonna talk to Andrew. Be like, obviously, my scumbag stepbrother's up to something. Could I possibly, with an escort, get my personal belongings out of this house?
So you'll need to speak to the mayor or the judge in the morning. Unfortunately, my current orders are not to let anyone in, as everything within the home is considered to be of the part of the estate of the late Otello, which is now, of course, under the jurisdiction of the courts. And as he kind of looks around, I'm sure you know, they've got bigger problems.
Yeah, it looks like this whole world has bigger problems right now. All right, I'll talk to the mayor in the morning, see what we can do. We've already had a discussion about this before I left. Look at Ashley, be like, well, this is my house. I'm not 100% sure what's going on here, but luckily the orphanage is next door.
So this is your house, and you're gonna tell, as she looks up at this 3-story home, beautifully built, and you're gonna tell me you understand my struggle. This is where you grew up.
Oh, before that, I also was part of a nomad tribe. Not even a nomad tribe. My parents were traveling salespeople, and I grew up out of a wagon.
Okay.
All right. Just because of this big old house doesn't mean I didn't have my struggles. All right.
Okay.
But yeah. Anywho, we should probably go next door, see the orphanage, possibly talk to Mary and Elaine.
All right. As you make your way, kind of, Andrew waves to you as the guard begins to go back to their posts. You make your way over. You make your way over to the far side of the plaza. As you see, the orphanage there and the children playing inside. You realize that the sounds from within stopped a few moments ago, and you don't hear the familiar sound of children coming from within inside.
All right. So I'm gonna walk in. Kind of pretty interested in
Okay.
what's going on.
So as you walk in the door, roll me a perception check. I'll
Perception.
roll for Ashley.
15.
Okay, as you look in, you see the door in the back of the orphanage quickly shut, and as you look around, you'll see that Mary is fallen over, the back of her skull a bit bloodied, as she's fallen to the ground. As a few of the children are kind of huddling in the corners, you hear them softly crying as you look about.
So I'm gonna rush over to Mary. I'm gonna rush over there
They
and
just
look.
went out the back door. They took the lane. As you look over here, it looks as if, as you're looking through Mary, it looks as if she's been ambushed. It looks she was hit in the back of the head.
Dope. They went out the back door, you said?
Yes.
All right. Super fun times.
What is going on around here? Ashley says.
What? Chaos. It's chaos. It's fine. It's fine. We'll still get her talking. I will go basically into Wolfang technique to basically get more of like an animalistic stance and rush out the door, the back door.
Okay.
Try to catch up
As you
with the
run out the
assailants.
back door down into the alleyway, as you run out the door, you immediately look to either side, and there are 3 people at one end of the alley and 3 people at the other, as they just kind of stare down at you as you realize you're surrounded by 6 individuals, each of them heavily armored, wearing breastplate and coming down to stout iron boots, and despite the sword tacks, wielding hammers and shields. So how do you want to do this? One of them speaks from under his helm.
Well, can you explain?
The easy way or the fun way?
Oh, you want me to do the fun way? Why? Of all days, got to be today, huh?
You could always come with us willingly. As Ashley kind of comes out the door, she's like, "What the?" And she just looks at you. What the fuck did you get me into?
I don't even know what I got myself into.
I don't know him.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you.
She just goes back
you.
inside and shuts the door.
Thank you. Watch the kids. All right. Looks like we're doing this the fun way then. It's another fun fight. All right. And I will. Is there any indication of which way Elaine might have gone?
So roll me a perception check.
$22.
So as you look down the alleyway, it looks like she ran off to the left.
She ran off. She wasn't dragged off.
Oh, okay. There's footprints there. She was what's your roll here? 22. Yeah, she was clearly dragged.
Okay. To the right, you said?
Yes.
Super fun. So, well, I'm waiting for the alleyways to load up right now.
All right, let's go ahead and come over to the combat map. As they can look to you. So, how do you want to do this? You want to come with us?
First off, can I ask you
the leader
something?
with his cloak kind of looks at you. Here's the deal: you can come with us, and you'll see you won't see another.
Go with you.
Well, so they drag her off to the left, and based on what you've seen, you can only survive.
Oh, it's not great. Yeah.
No, it's within the last
6.
10
Yeah.
minutes, but not much more than that. So the tracks aren't that old.
I don't know. There's just
It's up to you.
I know. I'm thinking because can't exactly bolt off
You could
towards
go
them.
back inside the door.
Well, there's kids in there, Lance.
There
My kids.
are kids in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I would go with you if you leave the orphanage alone.
All right, we can do that.
All right.
All right. This will fade to black as they come over and begin to tie you up, and you feel a gash in the back of your skull as you pass out. Because we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna come over to, let's see, the last person I was looking, we're gonna come over to you, Kilroy, as you are leaving Emberfall Academy, walking down the summoned staircase before you get down to the first floor. What are you doing?
So I really honestly don't know where Togric and Gerard are yet. So I'm gonna go back to the palace.
All right, so you're heading to the palace? Like, you mean the Grand Palace of Emberfall, where the Duke is,
Yes.
or okay?
Yes.
So you're gonna head over there. So that's quite the journey. Across the city, it'll take a bit. What are you looking for when you get there? I'm just trying to understand what's going on.
The Duke.
Okay. All right. So then, as you go to leave the city, were you going to collect your sending stones as you go to
Oh,
leave the
yeah,
academy?
yeah.
Okay. All right.
I hand him the parchment when I get to the
So as you
bottom
walk
of the
down to the old man once again, he's just kind of sitting there. Ah, how are you doing today?
Here's this piece of paper.
Okay. And what's your name? What was that again? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Bella.
Bella. Nice to meet you, Bella.
Nice to meet you too.
Some ascending stones. Some magnificent tools. Ascending stones. Excellent. As he kind of pulls out this large, this long cabinet and he kind of was rifling through. Okay, this should work. As he pulls out like two jagged black stones and hands them to you. There you go. And go ahead and enjoy them, Bertram.
Thank you. I'll grab the stones.
All right. As you go, once again walking out, as your bear resumes its former shape, as you glide down, knowing not to stay in the air too long, you make your way down to the ground before walking through the Arcane Gate, and making your way through the city over to Ember's Fall, the holdfast in the rear of the city that holds the Grand Palace of Emberfall, in which Duke Alexander Blake rules the mighty city from. As you make your way through, passing through the old quarter, you can still see some of the damage left in the city as you're finally making your way into parts of the city that were hit the hardest by the invasion. Demons and devils ran wild through the old quarter, and you can see the destruction still apparent on the buildings as you walk through. Bits of blackened stone and charred wood are evident as you walk through the area. And while people have begun to put their lives back together and go back to their homes, it's obvious that there was a lot of destruction here. But as you pass into Hightown, it's nothing like what's evident here. As blocks of wealthy mansions have been decimated, burnt to the ground, blackened soot and dried blood still uncleaned from the battle several weeks prior around the area, as this area is a ghost town. As you realize now, walking through Hightown, one of the biggest problems Emberfall is facing is that the wealthy people who lived here have fled. You see some of the homes are still occupied, families too proud and stubborn to leave, but those that lost everything haven't returned as you look through the ruins of the different manors, picked clean of any valuables that remain, um, making your way to Ember's Fall. Eventually, you make your way past Zenithar's Gate into the Proud area. The hordes of devils weren't able to break back here during the siege, so for the most part, it remains untouched. The Blood Knights having protected the Grand Palace, as is their sacred duty. As you walk up to the Gate of Flames, it runs a chill down your spine, as it always does as you walk forward. The mighty maw of the dragon that sits over this gate, breathing eternal flame, preventing anyone from entering the Grand Palace that's not invited. As the Blood Knights look out at you from underneath their faceless mask, their black and red armor coming down. Um, as always, when you're around these things, they send a bit of a shiver through your body. Their unnatural presence and stance just off-putting, as they don't say a word as you approach.
I just walk up. I ask if the Duke is here.
As they just kind of look out at you, not saying a word for a moment, and then just you hear, name,
Kilroy Thumperdiddle.
purpose.
Uh, return from Darender.
Okay. As they both kind of look back at each other, as one of them walks through the flames of this gate to the other side, leaving you alone very uncomfortably, as there's no one standing within 50 feet of this gate, just you and this Blood Knight. Not even, you don't even feel like he's looking at you, but almost through you, as his mask, unable to see his face, just this dim light that emanates from their masks, from their helms.
So you
Um,
stand guard here often?
Wordless, he doesn't respond.
Good
Or
talk.
she, you don't know.
Good talk.
It just continues, just this awkward, like, staring event where you're just both looking at each other, but he's not saying anything, and you've given up the attempt of making small talk. After a certain amount of time, the Blood Knight walks through, um, as the flames stop. You may enter.
Thank you. And
As you look through, you'll see a woman that you've met before, wearing a long blue cloak over a set of very polished silver armor. You'll see Bella, also known as Bella the Brave. She's a member of the Council of Emberfall, that you've met before, right before you left for Darender. She was a member of the clergy. You don't know much about her, but she's a bit older. She's quite beautiful, but you get the sense, based on your interactions with her before, that she's probably not somebody you want to piss off. She goes, Kilroy, it's a pleasure to have you back here again. And where are your companions?
they're off doing their own thing at the moment.
Well, we're glad at least one of you could come back. Come on, ignore them. She kind of waves off the Blood Knights.
They make me a little uncomfortable sometimes.
It's fine. They make everyone a little uncomfortable. You can thank Zenithar for them. As she holds up her hands and she speaks out a few words. Karek Donosh! As the flames come back down. Come on! So, how went your mission?
Pretty well, actually.
Good, the Duke will be pleased. You were able to save the king. Does he yet live?
He actually does. He's doing well now. We flushed out the traitor and uh found ruins, actually.
Oh, what kind of ruins? As you guys continue to walk through the courtyard, walking towards the palace proper, you of course see the tall walls that line the grand palace and this marble courtyard, not a bit of greenery in sight as you look around with tall statues of magnificent beasts and heroes as you walk towards this almost omniscient tower. It just peers and seems to see all this massive castle that looms over you as you approach. Um, Continue.
The ruins we found had uh the top floors were not really too dangerous as long as we had royal blood. But if you tried to go down to the deep floor or the floors beneath, those had demons, seemingly from years and years ago.
Oh, wow. But you found a lost hold from the Blesnet Kingdom. That's incredible. Where was it underneath again?
Uh, Ferric?
Oh, I'm sure we'll figure it out with the dwarves. The bond between the Blake family and the Bladesong family is too strong to let such a thing like that come between us.
We actually informed them as well, about the ruins. And you just have to have a blade song with you.
I'm sure we'll figure it out. And of course, any examinations that are done of the ruins, I'm sure the Duke will figure it out. We'll do it in tandem, I'm sure. So you wanted to speak with the Duke. I think he's a bit indisposed as the moment as you guys walk through the large towering doors as you realize night has fallen. But if you'd like, we're more than willing to house you here for the evening. And I think you should be able to meet with him in the morn.
I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
It's not a
Also,
problem. As she kind
do
of
I,
waves up her hands and a servant comes forward. Um, this one here will show you to your room. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were saying.
as I pull out this weapon tax, I'm like, do I really need this?
Ah, you'll have to speak to the Duke on that one. Um, Not my idea, but I will say it has been very effective um, in curbing some of the violence. But unfortunately, I can't write you a writ to get around that one.
I agree. It's very effective, but I mean, being one of the heroes of Emberfall is kind of
I'm sure
sets me
we'll,
back a peg.
I'm sure we'll be able to work something out. Those at the walls just doing their duty.
Yeah, I'll ask the Duke about it tomorrow. I appreciate you housing me for the night.
Of course. Um, if you'll follow, we'll take you along.
Thank you. I follow.
All right. As they lead you up this ivory staircase, back into the same. Actually, I've never stayed here before. Now that I remember, as they take you back into an apartment, very lavishly um, furnished with a table laid out in the center, easy with 8 seats, easily enough to fit all of your friends. A wonderful repast has been laid out, different fruits and cheeses, different breads, and a large roasted boar in the center. As you look about, you realize this is kind of an antechamber with different doors leading to other rooms. As you can probably assume, it was the intention for you and all of your companions to stay here. But right now, you have it all to yourself.
I didn't want to go to Alistair's shitty house anyway.
All right. As at that point, we are going to come over to Gerard and Togric. So, you guys have made your way out of the sewers as you peel yourselves up in an alley right outside of the Plaza of Light, in which the Emberfall Temple of the Oathsworn is held.
All right. As I start handing you, Gerard, my hammer, a few throwing knives at my waist, a true steel blacksmith hammer. Let's see, a sharpened horn from a beast, uh, and my boot knife. Like that should be everything that they can find with a Cursatory look.
And I kind of hang his main weapons over my shoulder in case he needs to grab one quickly.
Appreciated. All right, time to go to the Temple of the Oathsworn. Do you want me coming with you?
My only worry is the last time we talked to Jonah, he was actually at the Ember's Fall Academy.
That's right. I don't know
I don't-
Fly. Or any means to get up there otherwise.
I don't know that I really want to alert the Oathsworn before I tell Jonah personally. So I might just go in and ask for the whereabouts of Jonah.
He might actually. Wasn't he translating that book at the keep? Now that I think of it.
No, he hadn't headed back to Point Valiant as far as I had known.
No, not Point Valiant. Sorry, the Alexander's Castle, the center of town.
I thought that was at the academy, but I could be mistaken.
Well, it doesn't hurt. Maybe we'll run into Kilroy on the way from the academy. Didn't take us too long. I think it was.
Let me just head inside really quickly and see if they know where he's at. If they don't, we'll continue on the way. But I don't feel like giving all the information to the Oathsworns exact.
Right, I forgot he wasn't staying there. After you, then.
Yeah, let's go inside.
So we're heading our way towards Emberfall Academy then.
So you're going inside, and then you guys are heading over towards Emberfall Academy.
Yeah, I'm going to head inside, and I'm going to talk to. I don't remember what his name was.
The leader of the chapel here.
Yeah.
Let me look at my notes. They're only ever a click away.
If they don't end up knowing where Jonah is anyway, that's for
Master the master of the temple here is Grognak Lukesh.
Grognak. All right. Yeah, I seek out
They're the very rare orc paladin of the Oathsworn.
As I head in.
Okay. As you walk in, you're greeted by some of your brothers. The layout of most of these temples is similar. The Temple of the Oathsworn within Emberfall is not very nice up until recently. The Oathsworn got the inferior funding. As you know, the Church of Light and the Oathsworn rely on local funding for the most part, and the church was definitely more well-funded than the Oathsworn until obviously the tables have turned recently with the High Priest being found out to be a part of the cabal that orchestrated the attack on Emberfall. So as you walk in, you still have the low-lying, crumbling stone wall in the semicircular fashion around the keep with the low-lying cobblestones, sometimes falling to the ground. You see some of your lay brothers in there sparring with each other, wearing the familiar red and gold robes of the Oathsworn as they look to you. One of them snaps to it. They all snap to attention. Champion?
As I bow my head to them.
I kind of, keep my eye patch in place and incline my head as well.
The knight brother in charge of training them walks over to you. A man you've not met before, but obviously at this point more of your brothers know you than you know them. A blonde-haired man, very fair of skin, maybe in his mid-30s with blue eyes and a bit of scruff around his neck that you would probably guess is very much out of reg. Is not well maintained. As he looks at you, sir, what brings you back?
I'm looking to speak to Grognak, wondering on the whereabouts of Jonah, if he had left for Point Valiant or if he was still in the city.
Jonah's actually here, sir. He's down below in the chapel. He came back a few weeks ago, and the master offered him his own chambers, but he refused, stating that simply the quarters next to the chapel would be sufficient. He stays in his office most days and prays at the altar the rest of the time.
Could you send for him and let him know I seek an audience with him?
Jonah, he doesn't stand on ceremony like that. I can tell him you're here, of course, but I don't think he'd mind if you just went down there.
Well, I'd like to take a moment and head up to a couple of the shrines and do my prayers while I'm here.
Understood. as he goes, "Boy!" As he turns over to one of the lay brothers, "Go down and let Master Jonah know that Sir Gerard is here to speak with him."
And I'll elbow you lightly in the ribs, Jordan, and say, "Don't forget to tithe while you're here."
Yes, I will not.
As you walk within the cobblestone walls of the tower, um, it's a pretty Spartan tower for the most part. You know, the Oathsworn don't spend most of their money on furnishings, instead preferring to keep things plain, so that way they can direct most of their funds to outfitting and maintaining their troops, training new ones, and to giving back as much as they can to locals in need. Um, as you kind of walk in, the place is very bare as you go down the spiral staircase into the, at this point, all too familiar chapel, which at this point is empty as you enter. The familiar insignia of the light sits on the back wall, hanging from a mural, as the altar to the light in Arashane sits there in front. Stone pews come out to the back as the walls outside of the mural on the back with the painting lie bare. And on either side, you'll see small altars to the three main deities or patrons that are patrons of the Oathsworn. You have Helmbor, the Allfather, the creator of the dwarves, the elder god of law and order. You've got over here Xenides, the archangel of justice, the one who came down and brought light to Eridar during the Infernal Crusade. And then coming over here, you have Tisrandel, um, the elf lord, the third of the triad.
Will I pray at each shrine, taking extra time at the Shrine of Xenides, where I prepare my tithe as I lay 5 worms on the shrine itself.
Okay. As you kneel before the shrine of Xenides, your main patron, the Archangel of Justice, as you
I apologize,
Gregor.
that's 5 dragons. I place 5
Five.
dragons on the altar.
Okay. As you place 5 gold coins on the altar, offering your tithe to Xenides, you'll receive Xenides' blessing. So all of any exhaustion you have is gone. You're at full health and full mana. And you will gain 5 shadow resistance. And that will replace any other blessings that you have.
Correct. That's my first blessing.
Okay.
I kind of shuffle in place, kind of uncomfortable being in here, waiting for him to finish up.
As you're kind of shuffling there in the back, you realize standing behind you is Jonah as you kind of look over your shoulder. Standing once again in his priest's robes as you originally found him back in Gaydon Priory, the plain brown robes of a monk, a priest, a brother of the light, wearing his medallion hanging down low, his clean shaven head gleaming, polished as it always is, with his thick and gangly red beard coming down as he just kind of looks out over your shoulder at Gerard.
You, pretty light on your feet for an old guy.
I'm not that old.
That's why you're bald.
I'm younger than you, and I chose to shave it off.
Yeah, people who are balding chose to shave the rest of their hair. I understand.
Yeah, I did it on my own terms before nature made me. As Gerard, you hear a familiar voice behind you.
As I proceed to wrap up my prayers, I stand and I turn and look at Jonah.
How are you doing, Gerard?
Not so well these days.
That's an
As he looks
understatement
at
of the
you.
century.
You look troubled. Come back into my office. As
Yes,
he-
I would like to speak somewhere beyond prying ears. This message I have was intended just for you.
All right.
I'll watch the door.
I would like you to come with us, Tugger.
Oh, sure. Figured I'd return the favor and eavesdrop, but I guess being in there's a bit more efficient.
I mean, it would help. I can't see myself when I sleep.
Damn it. Alright, and I'll head into the office with them.
Okay. So as you guys come out, the very next door, obviously for whichever brother um, is attending the chapel at the time, of course you know that that brother fell during the demonic invasion of Emberfall when you were here a few weeks past. You walk inside and the place has been transformed. Very orderly and set. You see Jonah's placed his things around. As you see his armor sits up on the armor rack to your right. His shield and mace line the wall to your left as he sits back behind his desk, ushering you guys to two plain chairs in front of him. The large book that he's been attempting to decipher laid out in front of him with the string of other papers with different runes alongside them. You see scratched out notes and reference tomes piled 4 high and 3 rows deep over here on the left.
You know, I'm a little surprised you're still here in Embersfall.
Well, I don't really want to take the book anywhere. Despite what happened, this is still one of the safest places to be with it. And not only that, but
The more you study
I
the
was
book,
waiting for you to return.
the more you study the book, the more I worry for the election.
We
I
still have
thought you,
time for the election. We'll elect a new commander. Don't worry about that. I wouldn't miss it.
yeah, I know. I just think that it would be nice for them to see your face at Point Valiant, but I understand there's more pressing matters here, and I've just come here to make it more complicated for you, Jonah.
Why don't we cut with the small talk and you tell me what your visit is really about, Gerard? The
Well,
look on your friend's face is troublesome.
some of my companions would disagree with me, but I believe Gregor's calling me from Rancor.
So why don't you go ahead and tell me that story from the beginning, please?
Well, it happens when I sleep. Not every night, but most nights. They come in forms of dreams, but it's so much more real. I awake at the first half every night beside a black obelisk marked in infernal runes. Now that which I'm told,
And
with
I'll pass him over a copy of the papers at this point.
a large black tower on the other side of a ravine filled with lava and a bridge across. I had tried to take my time and learn as much about the area that I'd shown up because it seemed that every time I'd reach the door at the top of the stairs at the tower, I would wake up. You know, it starts with, as I show up, screams, and the closer I get, the more I realize that it's Gregor screaming. There were times where I was able to walk through the door and catch a glimpse of his face before I woke up, but it's affecting me in the real world.
He wakes up with a sliver of corruption on him that dissipates just as quickly, but the injuries and effects he has down there seem to translate. He cuts his palm in the dream, there's blood in his palm in the morning.
Well, I mean,
Worrying.
the realm of Rancor itself is pretty highly corrupted, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was just a side effect of where I was going. But it makes less sense now that I've started dreaming of past memories of when I first came to Point Valiant, and
So you've dreamed of memories.
as the dream ends, Gregor blames me for not coming to save him.
Well, both a potentially heartening or very disheartening fact, but the only way that someone could portray a memory to your mind is if they were aware of that memory.
That was also my
themselves.
thought, honestly. Because yes, if it could be demons trying to set a trap or demons trying to open a gate, how would they know these things as personal to me as they do? This has to be Gregor sending a message across planes.
That's
Nobody else knows.
while that's what I think we'd all like to think, the possibility also exists that Gregor's been broken
That's the more
and that
likely
his
scenario.
I can't
his
believe that.
mind.
And you knew him for so long. Can you actually believe that?
The Seven Hells are a different place, and we don't know nearly enough about them or what their most powerful denizens are capable of. It's been 7,000 years since the Demon Lord walked the surface of Eridar. Who's to know what would happen if Gregor fell into one of their hands?
I know he's alive. I've also failed to mention the part that in the
Well,
beginning of the dreams, it was
the good,
me. I
yeah.
was there,
Mhm.
but it seemed that I was much older, like it was a future memory.
This is troubling. The good thing is that you're right. This most likely does mean Gregor's alive and within Rancor. It's the only way these images could be actively projected to your mind is from him. It's either him or someone controls him. The question is, which one is it? Um, the problem is there's nothing you can do about it. If it is Gregor, how are you supposed to get him out of Rancor? And if it isn't Gregor, it's obviously a trap. No matter what, there's nothing you can do.
Either way, I feel like the first step is making it to Rancor.
Which, again, is crazy. As I look at Jonah, like, back me up here.
Depends.
Depends.
Depends on how you go. It depends on how warded you are when you go. It depends on who you take with you. We need more information before we decide anything. Just the act of traveling to Rancor is not necessarily an act of lunacy if we have the right information. Right now, we just don't know enough. Today, it would be an act of lunacy. Tomorrow might be a different story if we have more information. We need someone that's an expert on these things to examine you. I I am known as the scholar for a reason, and I've read up on a lot of these things. But without actively examining while you're sleeping, I couldn't venture a guess as to what has you.
Well, just clarify some of this for me, because I'm not a learned man in the ways of opening gates from hell. But me indulging in this quest, what real damage could it do upon our world? What real damage could it do here?
Well, we're still not entirely sure, as he points down to the book, how they're opening these gates. Theoretically, they should be impossible. Theoretically, they shouldn't exist. Celestine's barrier prevents such gates from existing, so somehow they've found a way around it. The question is, what is that motivator? Is it these artifacts? Or maybe you going down there is the one thing that could allow them to break Gregor, and maybe they use him somehow to make an even bigger gate. There's simply not enough that we know. It
Well,
could be a trap, in which case they use you to launch a full-scale invasion of the realms.
I don't understand that, because the first time when they struck Illidion, it had started with a rune on an artifact that had overtaken the entire city. But
Yes,
I just see dreams. I just get visions.
it's very possible that they use similar dreams to slowly corrupt another and cause them to place that. There's just not enough that is known, Gerard. It's too dangerous.
What
We
I'm
need
really
more
asking is
information.
what I'm really asking is if I cross the barrier, could I really cause real trouble?
The best answer I have for you is maybe. I need to know more. I don't know nearly enough about these dreams that you're having. If I could maybe if I had some of the spell work, or if I could see you while you were sleeping, but even then I'm no dreamwalker. Um,
And this is actually what we were looking for currently. And I will say, if you would like to monitor me when I sleep, I'm all about that. But I'd rather not alert the Oathsworn just yet.
there's no reason to alert the rest of our brothers as long as we take the proper precautions. You'll need to be warded. The area surrounding you will need to be warded. And anyone that's in the room will need to take preventative measures.
I just feel like
Being candid with you, Gerard, sorry to cut in here, but I've been lingering around you in case there is a scent of corruption. People attribute it to me. It's not going to work forever. Anybody with half a mind should know by that way. If this is progressing the way it is, you get paler than me even. We need to
I'm going to
find
be
something
real
fast.
honest. I know you feel like I'm gung-ho to travel to Rancor by myself, but I'm more afraid if we trigger the rest of the Oathsworn and they hear that Gregor may be alive, they might move this time scale up faster than I would myself.
That's the other reason we're keeping this to ourselves. Because if this were to get out, all it would take is for one person to say it at the council when we elect our next commander.
That's
You
the
know exactly.
only reason I'm keeping it to myself, because there is nothing more pressing to me than saving Gregor than anything else. But if that means that if I slip up and I sacrifice the lives of hundreds of men, that's something I couldn't live with.
Which means Alistair can't be anywhere near Point Valiant when you go, Gerard.
Alistair needs to be left out of these talks entirely. There's too many times that an accidental slip up has gotten us in a lot of trouble. And this is not an accidental slip up that we can deal with.
Noted.
Your friend's good with an axe. I'll give him that, but you're right. This conversation is probably not the place for him.
He's good in a fight.
He's young, though. Give him time. You weren't so
I know.
wise and astute at that age either. I remember Gregor having to bash your head in more than a few times.
I remember you having to send me away.
Well, you were a bit younger than that, but still. Just be patient with him. He's had a hard life.
As when you said that to Joan, I just kind of like coughed on imaginary water. Great. So, again, no leads at the moment, but more doomsday shit. Good to know.
You think Doomsday shit in character?
Yeah. That said, more optimistic viewpoint than my order took, which is
Well, I
in
wouldn't
substance
necessarily say Doomsday, though. If I'm being frank with you, while I'd rather this wasn't happening, this is probably the best lead we've had in weeks.
I mean,
It has to be connected, and if we can figure out the motivations and the machinations and the logistics of it, we can figure out what's going on and why we're here, and that might help us to better understand what's happening with these gates springing up everywhere and devils ushering out forth into the realms.
my real question is the last time we'd spoken about it, we were told about Dreamwalkers. Someone who could join me when I go. I'm not learned in that way, and I don't know any kind of source of how to get there. But you'd been with Alcaz for the last couple of weeks studying over this book and in and out of that library. Do you know anything about anyone who could walk me through this journey instead of just watching me when I sleep? They've been watching me when I sleep every day this week, and they have the same answers for you that you're going to get tonight. A bit of shadow corruption, maybe some marks that I carve on myself, or an item that has been touched by Rancor. I need somebody to see what I'm seeing, or maybe see what I'm missing when I'm there.
Well, I'll examine you, but I'm no expert in dreamwalking. I've spent most of the last 12 years in isolation at Gaydon Priory. I'm afraid I'm not familiar with most of the eminent scholars of the area. To be honest, I'd never even heard of your friend Kilroy. But if anybody would know, it would be Alcaz or maybe the Duke. I'll
I was
ask him
just
about it the
wondering.
next time I see him. I'm sure we can find a scholar, someone that's studied this and that knows how to do it.
I had just wondered because you'd spent so much time with Alcaz over the last weeks while we were gone, if anything had popped out like that to you that
Nothing from the text yet. I mean, we have a better idea of the technicalities of how the artifact worked on this end, it's almost as if a twin point of a beacon, with a corruption of an angelic artifact that allows it to give way, or a pure soul. But we're not sure how it works on Rancor's side. I haven't yet interpreted that, but we know the key on this side is the
Have
corruption and destruction of an angelic artifact or a
as I
pure
yeah,
heart.
as I totally cut him off. So it's either pure of heart or an artifact.
Yes.
Those two things. I probably failed to mention that I've been holding on to an artifact this entire time.
Such as?
As I pull out the starlit cloak from my pack and hand it over to Jonah.
As he pulls it out, this cloak, for those of you guys who aren't aware, Jonah was, Gerard was originally brought in session one to Illidion. Part of his job was to observe the moving of these artifacts, and the preservation of these artifacts. The Starlit Cloak was one of the artifacts that was housed within a secret cell, or a secret safe, I would say, or area within Illidion. When the armor of Sidriel was corrupted, which caused the gate to open and Illidion was destroyed, Gerard was able to save the Starlit Cloak. He and his companions fled.
But I don't understand because Kilroy holds another end of an artifact and he has no troubles as well.
What artifact
Also-
does Kilroy have?
My
He
head's
has-
in my hands right now.
What do you say?
We were already granted these boons as protection, or for us to protect over these, but he holds the decanter of holy water. The waters of rejuvenation.
I'll need you to bring me both of these artifacts so I can examine them thoroughly. I'll need
Well-
to determine if there has been a mark placed upon them, the same as the one that was placed on the armor of Sidriel,
That's what I
and
was
the one that was located in this book.
There was definitely a demonic rune on the armor of Sidriel, but I don't understand how anyone could have gotten to the Starlit Cloak.
It's possible that the rune was placed at the same time that the rune for the armor of Sidriel was placed, and they just waited for the opportune moment in order to activate it. Or there could be no rune at all. I'll need to do some further examinations.
And I'll leave the Starlit Cloak with Jonah for the time being.
If you wouldn't mind, feel free to take some time. Would you like to come back tonight, or I can come to you and observe you? Actually, it would probably be better. Where are you staying?
Yeah, I don't think me staying at the temple tonight would be such a good idea. I don't know. I think I'm probably staying at Alistair's tonight.
All
Go
right.
back to his house.
I can meet you there around let's say 10.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, best of luck to you, and I'll see you tonight. As he kind of stands up, I'll prepare.
Thank you, Jonah.
And thank you, Tagric, for watching out for Gerard here.
Yeah. Kind of in the job description, right? All life against the shadow.
True enough.
Besides, of all the Oathsworn I've ever met, this one I hate the least. As I clap him on the shoulder.
Ah, I've met many Death Knights I dislike.
Well,
Those of you that
First-
are sane, anyway.
sticking with Togric was duty, but I've grown fond of him over these last couple of weeks.
Of course you have. Look at me, I'm dashing. As I stand up
As-
from our seat.
Has nothing to do with your looks.
All right. Well, I suppose we can meet up with the rest of our gang, and you'll head back here at night. We've still got a few
Right.
hours to kill, and we probably should report to the Duke.
What do you mean meet up with the rest of the gang? I bet you Kilroy's still up at Ember's Fall Academy and I can't get there.
Yeah, well, they should all be making their way to Alexander before too long. He did want us to update him when we returned.
Ah, yes, I forgot. You may want to do that without me,
Okay, I'll tell him you're indisposed.
just in case he can detect this kind of thing.
Yeah, well, odds are good he may already know, but I shrug. I won't be the one to tell him.
I'd rather keep this as low profile as possible for as long as we can.
Sure.
I was already nervous about Vythe knowing to begin with.
Vythe
Wanted to kill me.
Yeah, but he also isn't going to be around much longer, so don't worry about it.
I heard that too.
Not polite to eavesdrop. Zenidis would be so ashamed. As I
Well-
kind of...
I've just been taking one out of your playbook. Seems to work for you.
What works for Death Knights may not always work for Oathsworn, but
I
probably
mean,
make you better at your job.
I need answers.
I get it.
Answers are more important than the way I go about it at this point.
On that we agree. Now, I guess I'll just tell the Duke that you're, squeltered in prayer? That probably works for anyone related to you guys.
I mean, that'll probably also be true, so I'll say a few prayers, though. That way you don't look a liar.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be the first time. Jonah, as I reach for the office door and head out on the way to the castle.
All right, and at this point, this is where we're going to go ahead and stop today. It is the end of the session. Stick around, guys, though, because we are going to do a raid if you guys want to get some extra channel points and do a little bit more interaction. Thank you, everybody, who joined in today. It's definitely a fun session. I know it's our first session after our new stream. Make sure you tune in on Wednesday to check session 2 of Ruins of the Old World, in which Gunfire is running. Definitely a pretty eventful stream today. It's nice to be back in Emberfall, everybody, isn't it? Getting some good
Been a
role
couple
play in.
months.
It's been a while.
It's been a
Get my
couple real
shield.
life months
Yeah.
since they've been in Emberfall. So it's nice to be back. Yeah, your shields should be coming soon. Alistair finally gets to do some stuff with his brother, which should be some interesting role play here. Definitely excited. So this is where we're gonna leave it. Alistair captured by the thugs that took Elaine, having disappeared to who knows where. Kilroy enjoying the luxury of his castle abode, and Gerard and Togric unknowingly headed back to Alistair's home. Well, I'm
Have
sorry,
fun
no, you
with them,
guys are
boys.
going to the palace.
Yep, that's us.
So make sure you tune in on Wednesday to catch our next stream. Make sure you stick around for the raid, so that way you don't miss out on any extra channel points. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. I definitely love having you guys here. Our viewer count keeps going up and up and up. I hope you guys enjoy the sub emotes. And for those of you guys that are here for the giveaway, as I've said in the chat a few times, we are giving away a free copy of Wizards of the Coast new book, Candlekeep Mysteries, that drops on March 16th. So to make sure you go to our Twitter page. Obviously, the link is currently on the stream, so that way you can get involved in that. We're going to announce that winner live on stream on March 10th, which is during our Wednesday stream. So, did you guys have any questions for us before we sign off?
I'll go ahead and drag us over to Q&A, but thanks for coming, playing with us, guys. We'll catch up with you here in a little bit. All right, so if we do have any questions in the chat or, about the giveaway or anything like that, we'd be happy to answer them now. If not, that should be everything until you'll see us again here in just a couple of days on Wednesday. That'll be the 3rd, I believe. Wait, is today Tuesday? Yeah, the 3rd.
I do want to thank everybody on Mystical Fluffs. Thank you for the follow today. We picked up a lot of follows earlier today from the giveaway. Also, thank you, Epic. He's our first 2-month sub. So shout out to Epic. He was our first sub on the channel. Now he's our first 2-month in a row sub. Thank you for that. Make sure that you guys take a look at some of the sub emotes. I think they're really good. Let us know if you like them. We also have some bit emotes. If you guys are interested in those, I think some of them are pretty fun. So,
All right. Not really seeing any questions come in. We can give it another minute, or we can call it here. I know it's getting kind of
We'll
late.
go ahead. Yeah, we'll go ahead and start the raid now. Make sure you stick around so you get those channel points for the raid. We're going to raid another D&D streamer around our same level of viewers. We're going to try to help some people out, and hopefully they raid us. So let's go ahead and let's pick one. Let's go here. All right, the raid has been started. Make sure you guys hop in the raids so that way you don't miss out on any channel points. And we'll be excited to have you back on Wednesday. And don't miss us out on Monday. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and have a good one.
Bye, everybody.